Chapter 2287. Shua. Lin Feng's figure flashed and entered West Eel, retrieving the pinnacle, true treasure, Jade Ocean Sword. Wang Dingquan executed the Kuan Ling Heart Arrow right away, forcibly breaking through the consciousness resistance of the pinnacle, true treasure Jade Ocean Sword, severing the connection between Wang Dingquan and the true treasure. His opponent was vengeful, and he was not at a disadvantage. Destroying the spaceship and taking the pinnacle true treasure was enough to make his heart ache. Although it was a waste of soul power, Lin Feng did not care. He still had the inner elixir of the Kunlin clan, and it was more than enough. What's the situation now? Lin Feng looked serious and asked directly, "Can you fly?" The direction control and anti-gravitational system are slightly damaged, and there is insufficient energy. It can no longer fly, the AI of the spaceship answered. As expected, Lin Feng had expected this. Wang Dingquan would rather give up a top-tier pinnacle true treasure to destroy the West Eel. Of course, he had absolute confidence in doing so. He was not simply venting his anger. Given his strength and status, even if he was reckless and vengeful, he would still consider the big picture. The Jade Ocean Sword was only temporary for Wang Dingquan. As long as he trapped him, the Jade Ocean Sword would return to him, and he would be able to get all the treasures he had. He seemed to have lost his mind, but in fact, he was looking at the long term. They are all here. Lin Feng looked at the map on the screen. In a short time, he was fighting with Wang Dingquan. The 6 spaceships that were left behind had arrived and surrounded West Eel. They only surrounded and did not attack. That's practical. Lin Feng looked at the 6 spaceships that were waiting for him. With their attack power, they could indeed damage West Eel, or even make it useless, but it was not necessary. West Eel's material and defense were better than Zenith's. It was easier to destroy, but harder to destroy. Even if the energy of these spaceships was depleted, it would not be enough to completely destroy West Eel. At most, it would be more damaged and could no longer fly. But originally, the West Eel could no longer fly. Zenith was the only one that could destroy West Eel. However, Zenith was in a similar situation. The control room was damaged, and the damage was worse than West Eel. Wang Dingquan also stopped attacking. Lin Feng also had a headache. It was indeed troublesome to encounter such a calm and wise opponent who was also so strong. Many experts would become hot-headed after gaining an absolute advantage, and would even lose their rationality after being provoked. However, Wang Dingquan was neither of these. Right now, he already had the absolute advantage. His own strength was not weaker than his own, and he had 6 spaceships to protect him. It could be said that he could completely attack the West Eel, but he did not do so. As long as he attacks, I'll be able to escape. Lin Feng was well aware of the current situation. Although staying on the West Eel was impregnable, it had also blocked his escape route. The West Eel would not be able to fly. Once he went out, he would immediately be restricted by Wang Dingquan's space heavenly Tao absolute treasure. In addition, the 6 battleships were eyeing him covetously. If he went head-to-head, his chances of winning were less than 10%. After all, Wang Dingquan's defense and control abilities were too strong. Only when Wang Dingquan took the initiative to attack would he have a chance. He could either engage Wang Dingquan in close combat and look for a good opportunity, or use the West Eel to interfere. Even if he could restrain Wang Dingquan for a moment, he would be able to escape through teleportation. However, he did not do any of those things. After waiting for a full 10 days, Lin Feng gave up. There was no point in continuing to stare at each other. He's too patient. Lin Feng sighed softly as he looked at the screen and saw Wang Dingquan, who was looking down at the West Eel with his arms crossed. Outside, a pack of hungry wolves was eyeing him covetously. The alpha wolf, Wang Dingquan, was also closely monitoring him. It was difficult for him to even move. So his plan is to wait for reinforcements. Lin Feng was well aware of Wang Dingquan's thoughts. This was because if it were him, he would probably find such a surefire way to capture him. He only needed to find a few upper-level heavenly gods, or even peak heavenly gods. Otherwise, he could buy or rent a spaceship with powerful weapons and fire a few shots at the West Eel. That would be the end of it. No matter which method he used, he would be able to capture him in one fell swoop. However, this place is very far from the wormhole. It would take at least 200 years for a round trip. The West Eel had a clear map record. Lin Feng had seen it a long time ago. Even if I immediately used communication after leaving the wormhole, the one-way trip would take at least 100 years. 100 years. It was not long, but it was not short either. You have a good plan, but I have a wall ladder. Lin Feng would not sit and wait for death. He flipped through the various information on the West Eel and thought of various methods. He did not believe that there was no way at all. In such a battle of wits and courage, the spaceship's artificial intelligence could not help him. He could only rely on himself. The information on the West Eel was very large. Even though Lin Feng's soul power was very strong, he had only skimmed through it roughly after spending 100 days. However, Lin Feng did not plan to continue looking at it in detail. A rough look was enough. No matter how meticulous he was, he might not be able to think of a perfect method. There must be a chance. Lin Feng searched through his memories. In the past 100 days, he had at least thought of the most basic method, which was to directly increase his strength. As long as he cultivated the 9 heavens of light and darkness to the second heaven, his strength would reach the peak of God's Spirit. All problems would be easily solved. However, the problem was that he was not very confident. Even if he was given a few thousand years, he still would not be confident, let alone 100 years. Therefore, he still hoped to find a method from the information he browsed. However, there was a time limit, 1 year. If he could not find a method within a year, then he would take the most direct path. If he did not succeed, he would die trying. Outside the West Eel, in the void of the universe, Patriarch Wang Dingquan, whose eyes were bloodshot, stood high above the number 2 battleship. Not only did he personally command the battleship, but he also completely covered the West Eel within the range of the space heavenly Tao treasure, the 7-spiral sphere. As long as that human appeared, he would be able to capture and kill him. Come out, and only death awaits you. Wang Dingquan narrowed his eyes and shot out a cold, murderous glint. If you don't come out, only death awaits you. How dare you touch my Wang Dingquan's things? You don't know what's good for you. When God Master Lan Ting arrives, I will make you spit out everything, including interest. This was why Wang Dingquan was so confident. Grand Commander Wang Bei had already arrived with God Master Lan Ting and would arrive in less than 100 years. With God Master Lan Ting's support, even the demon god Li Shi outside the super black hole would not pose a threat, let alone a mere human. Cackrack. Wang Dingquan suppressed the anger in his heart, his hatred raging. Even if he killed this human youth, Vice Commander Wang Zichuan would not be able to revive. He was the only pilot of the whole race and had a limitless future, yet he had died an unnatural death. Bastard. Wang Dingquan was still furious when he thought of this. Your death is not to be regretted. Chapter 2288. Inside the West Eel, Lin Feng was racking his brains for a solution. He came up with one idea after another, only to be rejected one after another. Almost all of them faced the same problem. There was not enough time. What could he do in a mere 100 years? The whole clan had probably already prepared everything. Even the reinforcements had already passed through the wormhole and were rushing over. They would only need 100 years to arrive. By then, he would have nowhere to go. With Wang Dingquan's personality, he would definitely be 100% confident this time and would not give him any chance. Do you have any suggestions, AI? Lin Feng racked his brains, but still could not come up with a solution. As time passed day by day, the 1-year time limit he set was getting closer and closer. Repair the spaceship, then use hypersource to escape. The AI's reply was the same as always, without any expression. Lin Feng had already heard the same sentence more than 5 times. Previously, instead of saying he was asking the AI, it was more like he was talking to himself. The rigid AI gave the most direct answer, or rather, the answer that it thought was the most suitable. But the problem was that he did not know how to repair it. Furthermore, even if he knew how to repair it, he did not have the materials. As the saying goes, even the cleverest housewife cannot cook without rice. However, the AI was right about one thing. Now that he had destroyed the Prosperity, the remaining 6 spaceships were nothing to be afraid of. He could indeed use hypersource to escape. But the problem was that the West Eel was also broken. After going around in circles, it came back to the same problem. Even if I find someone to repair it, I have to at least contact them. Even if I can contact them, it will take 100 years to fly over from the wormhole. Lin Feng thought to himself. He had already thought of this possibility. It was barely reasonable, but it was not possible. Our Steel Bone Spaceship Company is the largest and most advanced spaceship company in the Xing Feng astral sector. No matter how badly damaged a spaceship is, we can repair it perfectly. The AI continued to boast. Steel Bone Spaceship Company, Xing Feng astral sector. Lin Feng muttered. Suddenly, Lin Feng was slightly startled. He turned his head abruptly. Can I contact the Steel Bone Spaceship Company from here? Can I contact them now? Please wait for a moment, Master. The spaceship's AI activated its functions. Even though the control room was slightly damaged, most of the functions were still intact. For example, the simulation training system, but it couldn't fly anymore. After all, a spaceship needed a lot of precise control systems to fly. As long as there was a problem with one of them, the spaceship might not be able to fly. The answer from the spacecraft's AI gave Lin Feng hope. It seemed to work. After a while, confirmation complete. Master, the emergency system is not damaged and can be used normally. Do you want to request help now? The ship's AI said. Ask for help. Lin Feng clenched his fists without hesitation. There was a faint trace of expectation in his heart. No matter how small the chance was, it was still a chance. According to the information he had read, a giant like the Steel Bone Spaceship Company had a branch in Yun Xian Cosmic Nation. The spaceship AI was not exaggerating. The Steel Bone Spaceship Company was extremely powerful. Even the leader of Yun Xian Cosmic Nation had to be respectful. Please wait for a moment, Master. I will immediately gather information on the spaceship and send the coordinates. The ship's AI said. The screen changed rapidly. The entire West Eel appeared in front of his eyes. All the parts and information, even the smallest damaged parts, were clearly listed in an orderly manner. Very quickly, a 5-colored ripple appeared on the screen. It was like a long ocean wave. It was surging and majestic, but it made people feel relaxed and happy. The waiting time was very long. Shua, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The ocean wave on the screen slowly disappeared and turned into a clear line of words. It was the universe common language. Earthbone 7 Series. Spaceship damage level 5. Basic maintenance costs 1,000 astral dollars. Normal maintenance, 105 years. Total cost 1,500 astral dollars. Rapid maintenance, 52 years. Total cost 12,000 astral dollars. Emergency maintenance, 26 years. Total cost 10 universe crystals. Special maintenance, 10 years. Total cost 100 universe crystals. The 4 horizontal bars represented 4 options. After browsing the previous information, Lin Feng had a general understanding of the currency of Yun Xian Universe Nation. The currency of the Yun Xian Universe Nation was usually Yun Xian Stone and Astral Dollars, and the exchange ratio was 10,000. 1. Universe crystals were only commonly used in the Xing Feng astral realm, and the exchange ratio was 10,000. 1 with astral dollars. The normal purchase price of this West Eel was 50,000 astral dollars, which was 5 universe crystals. It was more expensive than many middle-level pinnacle true treasures. The West Eel Mercenary Group bought it during a discount, but they still spent 420,000 astral dollars. This is robbery. Lin Feng was speechless. The normal purchase price was only 5 universe crystals, and the emergency maintenance cost 10 universe crystals. Wasn't this ripping people off? Special maintenance was even worse. The total cost was 100 universe crystals. However, as he had guessed, as the leader of Xing Feng Astro Universe Ship Company, The technology of Steelbone Universe Ship Company was much more advanced than that of Yun Xion Universe Nation. The spaceships of Yun Xion Universe Nation needed 100 years to reach here through the wormhole. However, the spaceships of Steelbone Universe Ship Company didn't need that long, even if it was just a branch spaceship. It was just like the difference between the technology of the Milky Way and that of Yun Xion Universe Nation. The 4 members of the West Eel Mercenary Group together have about 5 universe crystals. The miscellaneous treasures I have on me can also be worth 5 universe crystals. I'll choose emergency maintenance. Although there was only a difference of 26 years between quick maintenance and emergency maintenance, Lin Feng wasn't sure. From the price list provided by Steelbone Universe Ship Company, the normal speed of a spaceship would take about 105 years to reach here from the wormhole. For example, his own West Eel and the whole clan Zenith were estimated to be in this range. The next level of spaceship could be twice as fast. If he guessed correctly, this type of spaceship should be the top of the line in Yun Xion Universe Nation. Therefore, he couldn't rule out the possibility that Wang Dingchuan's reinforcements were using this type of spaceship. If he wanted to be 100% sure, he had to choose emergency maintenance. Although it was 88,000 astrodollars more expensive than quick maintenance, safety first, and this was the safest choice. Money could be earned again, but he only had one life. Lin Feng didn't hesitate and immediately chose. A series of lights flashed on the screen. The spaceship's AI and Steelbone Universe Ship Company made the final confirmation. Lin Feng was relieved. The rest was none of his business. 26 years. The chances of escape are high. Lin Feng smiled. Chapter 2289. Both of them had their own plans. Lin Feng and Wang Dingquan were both wary of each other, so they secretly took advantage of each other. One was waiting for Commander Wang Bei and Lord God Lan Ting to arrive. The other had contacted the Steelbone Spaceship Company and spent a lot of money to repair the West Eel to escape. You're dead. As Lord God Lan Ting's spaceship approached, the killing intent and madness in Wang Dingchuan's eyes intensified. He stared at the West Eel without moving. Killing prey required patience. Wang Dingquan, as the patriarch, had no lack of patience. The whole clan had been able to rise to become a big family in Yun Xion Universe Nation because they had stepped on countless skeletons. Inside the West Eel, Lin Feng was cultivating in the simulation training system. Although there were only 26 years left, even one day was a chance. Lin Feng was strong enough, but he hadn't fully understood the heaven path of light and darkness, so he had been stuck at the first level. As long as he could reach the second level, all his problems would be solved, including the threat of the whole clan. Almost, compared to the first level, the 100,000 origins of the fusion of light and darkness are much more complicated, and the intersection points are much more majestic. The understanding required to fuse them is also much more. If I can understand this key point, I will have a direction. Lin Feng carefully comprehended, but as the years passed, he still hadn't made any progress. The heaven path of light and darkness fusion was comparable to the heaven path, or even higher. How could it be easy to understand? Otherwise, there wouldn't be so few almighty in Yun Xion Universe Nation. The second level is so difficult. It's so difficult to understand the fifth level. Lin Feng sighed. According to the 10,000 heaven path, only by learning the fifth heaven of light and darkness would one be able to surpass one's limits and roam the universe freely. That is to become one of the 4 great venerables. He had only taken the first step, and there was still a long way to go. One step at a time. It's about time. This year is the 26th year. Lin Feng let out a sigh. Fortunately, Wang Dingquan hadn't done anything yet. In other words, his reinforcements hadn't arrived, but his reinforcements would arrive soon. Whoosh! Stepping out of the simulation training system, Lin Feng felt relaxed all over. Although he had been practicing for 26 years, he had never been able to calm down. He had to worry about the arrival of the whole clan's reinforcements, but he also had to be wary of Wang Dingchuan's desperate attack. Now that the pressure was gone, He had a much deeper understanding of the second heaven of light and darkness. Thoughts surged in his mind like a tide. So that's how it is. Lin Feng murmured and smiled. The chains that had been binding him seemed to have loosened, and the blood in his body was slightly excited. That was a sign that his understanding of the fusion of light and darkness had deepened. His cultivation base had increased by quite a bit. The next time I go into seclusion, I should be able to cultivate the second heaven of light and darkness. Lin Feng smiled with satisfaction. However, the most important thing right now was the imminent crisis. Wang Dingquan's threat originated from the whole clan. He meditated and waited. Lin Feng was not worried that the Steel Bone Spaceship Company's maintenance staff would be late. According to the spaceship's AI, if they were late, the maintenance fees would not be charged. This was because the customers who would choose to do emergency maintenance must have encountered something troublesome. Otherwise, they would have waited for 26 years. Therefore, this kind of maintenance was a race against time. They would not waste any time on the road. If it was 26 years, it would be 26 years. Accurate timing was where the Steel Bone Spaceship Company's reputation lay. Wait, Lin Feng suddenly thought of something and asked, AI, is the maintenance time calculated within these 26 years? It is not calculated, Master. The spaceship's AI said, the maintenance of spaceships is more complicated. Many will affect the whole body, and there are even some problems that cannot be detected. Therefore, it is impossible to calculate the time accurately like flying. As expected, how long will the maintenance take? Lin Feng frowned slightly. The spaceship's AI replied, the damage level is level 5. It is not a major fault. Normally, it could be repaired in 20 years or so. 20 years. Lin Feng was shocked. Including the previous year, it was only 21 years. If the Hull clan's reinforcements arrived in 52 years, there would be enough time. But is it possible that the maintenance time will take 5 years or more? Lin Feng asked cautiously. It is possible. The spaceship's AI was very honest. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Then, the spaceship's AI continued. But Master, you chose to do emergency maintenance. Therefore, the company will not send normal maintenance personnel, but elite maintenance technicians. Oh, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. So the difference between the 4 levels of maintenance was not just time. Our company's maintenance personnel are divided into normal maintenance personnel, experienced maintenance technicians, elite maintenance technicians, and the most respected maintenance masters. Their abilities are different, so the fees are also very different. To the elite maintenance technicians, the spaceships they usually repair are rarely more normal than the Earthbone 7 series. Lin Feng smiled and said, you want to say something worse, right? That's true. Just the maintenance fees alone were more expensive than the Earthbone 7 series spaceships. The spaceships that the elite maintenance technicians usually repair were not normal. A spaceship like his was considered an anomaly. So, you can definitely fix it in 20 years? Lin Feng asked. It won't take that long. The spaceship's AI replied. The spaceship's AI replied. The elite maintenance technicians' repair skills and efficiency are 10 times better than a normal maintenance worker. They can complete the repair in 3 to 5 years without any unforeseen circumstances. Level 5 repair is a piece of cake for them. Even a master maintenance technician wouldn't be much faster. Good. Lin Feng was very satisfied. This money is well spent. Outside the West Eel, 6 spaceships surrounded it. The experts of the Hull clan, under the leadership of Patriarch Wang Dingquan, were like a well-disciplined army. They surrounded the criminal and did not give Lin Feng any chance to escape. To them, this human youth was already in the bag. Soon, God Lord Lan Ting will be here soon. Although Wang Dingquan's face was calm, his heart was burning like a raging fire. He was anxious and nervous, afraid that the fatty meat in his mouth would slip away. He had a feeling that something was going to happen. This human youth of unknown origin seemed to have the same plan as him. He was definitely not a good person. At this moment, whoosh, there was an ear-piercing sound, like a sickle cutting through space. It was a strange-looking but eye-catching spaceship, but it was definitely not God Lord Lan Ting's spaceship. This was because this spaceship had a very eye-catching logo. It was very similar to the logo on the West Eel, but it was also different. It represented the staff of the headquarters, not the spaceship for sale. Steelbone Spaceship Company. Wang Dingquan and the other members of the whole clan were stunned. Chapter 2290. Hula. A breeze blew past, and the hatch of the Steelbone Spaceship Company's spaceship opened. 7 different-looking warriors appeared. 6 of them wore the same uniform. The leader's uniform was a little special, but the logo of the Steelbone Spaceship Company was the same, representing their identity. The 7 powerhouses were expressionless and meticulous, but the invisible aura they exuded made the powerhouses of the whole clan tremble in fear. Each of them seemed to have strength similar to that of Wang Dingquan, the chief of the whole clan. The most terrifying one was the red-haired man with a big nose. His cold gaze made people shudder. Pinnacle Heavenly God. Wang Dingquan swallowed his saliva and slowly recovered from his shock. Not only this red-haired, big-nosed man, the other 6 experts were also upper Heavenly God powerhouses. Their strength was terrifying. Just this group of people could wipe out the whole clan. Hua. As the hatch of the West Eel opened, no one dared to move an inch. Even if Wang Dingquan had the guts to do so, he would not dare to launch an attack and anger these 7 experts. It was not only because of their tyrannical strength, but also because of their backing, Steelbone Spaceship Company. That was a great force that could be called a giant in the Xing Feng astral boundary. Even Yin Xian Universe Nation did not dare to provoke them. The whole clan was not considered a big family in Yin Xian Universe Nation. Needless to say, if they really angered them, they would be annihilated in minutes. Who would dare to stand up for them? Shua, shua, shua. The warriors of the Steelbone Spaceship Company filed in, and the hatch of the West Eel closed. The whole clan was still in shock and did not know what had happened. They all looked at Wang Dingquan. Damn it! The veins on both his fists were exposed. Wang Dingquan already knew what had happened. In this battle of wits, he had already lost for a while. He did not expect the opponent to have such a move. They actually called the maintenance team of the Steelbone Spaceship Company. They were very far from the center of Yin Xian Universe Nation, separated by a few wormholes. With Yin Xian Universe Nation's communication technology, there was no way to send messages. But the Steelbone Spaceship Company could. Completely crushing technology, completely crushing power. What should we do? Wang Dingquan was sweating profusely. He was not afraid because he knew that the people from the Steelbone Spaceship Company were neutral and would not side with anyone. However, the problem was that the Zenith was damaged. Once the West Eel was repaired, the 6 spaceships would not be able to stop it from using hyperdrive to escape. Sabotage the repairs. Or wait until the repairs are done, and then secretly attack? This thought appeared in Wang Dingquan's mind, but a chill ran down his spine. The red-haired, big-nosed man's cold eyes flashed across his mind, as if warning him that if he really did that, he would probably be chopped into pieces. The people from the Steelbone Spaceship Company wouldn't care who he was. But if he didn't do that, was he supposed to just watch that human escape? Yin Xian Cosmic Nation was so big that if he escaped, it would be extremely difficult to find him again. No, don't let him escape. Wang Dingquan bit his lips so hard that blood oozed out. His eyes were filled with hatred and killing intent. There's still a way. There's still time. The West Eel needs time to repair. As long as God Lord Orchid Pavilion can get here in this time. Even if the West Eel is completely repaired, that brat won't be able to escape. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Wang Dingquan was filled with killing intent. Indeed, he had lost for a while and couldn't deal with that human. But even if he couldn't do it, God Lord Orchid Pavilion had the ability to do it. Shua. Wang Dingquan's figure flashed and instantly returned to the zenith. West Eel. Line up. The red-haired big-nosed man shouted. 6 upper Heavenly God elites lined up neatly, not a single hair out of place like 6 blocks of steel. Steelbone Spaceship Company, Yin Xian Cosmic Nation Branch, Elite Maintenance Technician Chi Datong at your service. After saying that, the red-haired big-nosed man and the 6 upper Heavenly God elites bowed slightly, startling Lin Feng. Those were pinnacle heavenly god elites. But after thinking about it, he understood. Pinnacle heavenly god elites were powerful in Yun, Xi, and Cosmic Nation, but in Xingfeng Astral Boundary, they were nothing, especially in a huge force like the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company. They were mainly technicians in charge of maintenance. Lin Feng didn't say much, and there was no need for him to get close to them. Their politeness was only on the surface. According to the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company's rules, they weren't really bowing to you. What a joke! A pinnacle heavenly god elite bowing to a pinnacle god. Come, let's get to work. Let's split up and move. Hurry up, the next order has arrived. The red-haired and big-nosed Qi Datong clapped his hands and shouted. He didn't even look at Lin Feng. Then, without stopping, he ordered his subordinates to get busy. The division of labor was clear and meticulous. Those in charge of repairing, those in charge of inspecting, and those in charge of cutting materials. With their ability, it wouldn't be hard to make a new Earthbone 7 Series spaceship. But maintenance was maintenance, selling was selling. They couldn't do anything else. Lin Feng had already asked the spaceship's AI, why would they need to repair it if they just bought a new Earthbone 7 Series spaceship? Without interfering or speaking, Lin Feng let Qi Datong and his crew do as they pleased. He was an outsider to this. Even if he wanted to learn, he wouldn't be able to learn anything. He might as well close his eyes and organize his 26 years of training and think about the key points of training light and darkness level 2. The training of realms could be done by meditation. It didn't matter if he used the simulation training system or not. It would only take 3 to 5 years. Oh, Qi Datong, who was commanding his subordinates, glanced at Lin Feng. He was slightly surprised. A few years isn't a waste? This kid is quite hard-working, not bad. Qi Datong was quite appreciative of such a junior. A mere pinnacle godly spirit can make the leader of the whole clan hesitate to attack. That's impressive. Qi Datong had been stationed in Yun, Xi, and Cosmic Nation for many years, so he knew the situation of the major families in Yun, Xi, and Cosmic Nation. With his experience, he had encountered many such situations. He knew what was going on the moment he arrived. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spent 10 universe crystals to call an elite technician to repair a mere Earthbone 7 Series spaceship. It was a waste of talent. I don't know where this kid is from. I've never heard of him. Qi Datong thought for a while. He didn't have a clue. He was too lazy to think anymore. He moved his arms and shouted, "Let's get to work." As far as he was concerned, he was only slightly curious and admired Lin Feng most. Other than that, he didn't have any other thoughts. The earlier he got to work, the earlier he could complete this level 5 repair, earn some money, and then head to the next destination. Chapter 2291. Flourishing Ship in the Virtual Communication System. In an independent fluorescent dimension, Wang Dingquan and God Lord Orchid Pavilion were conversing. 280. Wang Dingquan clenched his teeth, feeling like a piece of his heart had been cut off. The original 30-70 split was already not much for him, and even a little less would be adding insult to injury. Killing someone has a price, no? God Lord Orchid Pavilion indifferently said, taking advantage of the situation. Although Wang Dingquan was unwilling, he could only agree. Just like how he wanted God Lord Orchid Pavilion to deal with Demon God Li Shi, he would give him a 30-70 split. Okay, Wang Dingquan replied, his face ashen. God Lord Orchid Pavilion nodded. In addition, I want half of that human's wealth. Damn it. Wang Dingquan almost cursed it out loud. He had seen greedy people before, but he had never seen such a greedy person. He wanted the fish in the bear's paw. He also knew that he couldn't hide it from God Lord Orchid Pavilion. After all, the fact that he was willing to pay such a price was already far too obvious. Humans always acted for the sake of profit. Take your time to think about it. God Lord Orchid Pavilion indifferently stood up and prepared to end the conversation. To him, killing a brat was as easy as lifting a hand, but given God Lord Orchid Pavilion status, he naturally had to pay a small price. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. I agree. Wang Dingquan's body trembled as he suppressed his anger. No one would feel good about being cheated like this, but he had no other choice. Even if he couldn't avenge Vice Commander Wang Ziguan, just the profits alone were worth it. But even if he killed that human, he would probably not have much of a profit left. Have you thought it through? God Lord Orchid Pavilion indifferently looked at Wang Dingquan. I've never liked to force others, so don't force yourself. I won't force myself, Lord God Lord. Wang Dingquan forced a smile. We'll do as you say. Kill that human, and we'll split his wealth equally. God Lord Orchid Pavilion faintly smiled. Give me the detailed location. I will arrive within 3 years. As God Lord Orchid Pavilion spoke, he vanished from the illusory dimension, leaving behind Wang Dingquan's lonely figure. No matter the price, he must die. Wang Dingquan's veins bulged, his hatred for Lin Feng to the bone. Even though Lin Feng had taken down a city first, the sly old fox Wang Dingquan had also cut off all means of retreat, sparing no expense. On the surface, the two of them were facing off against each other, but in the dark, they were both displaying their strengths. Inside the West Eel, the repairs were in full swing. Lin Feng did not pay attention to it, nor did he have the time to pay attention to it. He closed his eyes and practiced the second layer of light and darkness. Even if it was only for a few years, it was an opportunity to practice that he could not let go of. Sand gathered to form a tower. It should be soon. Lin Feng sensed that the West Eel had been activated several times. It was fully capable of flight, but there were still many details to be taken care of. Many functions had not been fully restored, such as the super source. The repairs have been going on for nearly 3 years. Just as the spacecraft's AI predicted, it would take about 3 to 5 years to repair. Soon, I will be free from the control of the whole clan. Yin Xian Cosmic Nation is so big that it's not easy to find a force, let alone me alone. Besides, even if you find me next time, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Lin Feng smiled. He had absolute confidence that he would be able to practice the second layer of light and darkness. All he needed was time. Once he had the power of a peak god, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the Yin Xian Cosmic Nation. Even the super families would not be a threat, let alone a small family like the whole clan. Suddenly, thump thump, his heartbeat accelerated slightly. Lin Feng's expression changed instantly, and he woke up from his cultivation state. His sixth sense had saved him from danger several times. It was quite accurate. There was danger. Is it the whole clan's reinforcements? Lin Feng's first reaction was this. He shook his head. Impossible. In terms of time, even if they could notify us immediately, they could not be faster than the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company's elite maintenance team. Lin Feng was very sure of this. The whole clan did not have such power in the Yin Xian Cosmic Nation. Could it be him? Lin Feng's heart sank. He remembered demon god Li Shi outside the galaxy super black hole, one of the real murderers of his teacher. Others might not be able to rush over, but demon god Li Shi was right outside the galaxy super black hole. If he worked together with the whole clan, it was highly possible. Perhaps they might not have any relationship previously, but Wang Dingquan might compromise now that the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company had arrived. Being the patriarch, it was entirely possible for him to do so. If that is the case, what should I do? Lin Feng pursed his lips as he pondered. Actually, Lin Feng's guess was not wrong. If not for the fact that he had notified God Master Lan Ting first, Wang Dingquan would have gone to look for demon god Li Shi when he saw the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company's maintenance team. After all, they did not have any grudges. It was just that they were fighting for the black hole, chaotic origin heart. If cooperation was beneficial to both parties, demon god Li Shi would not reject it. But now that Divine Lord Lan Ting was here, Wang Dingquan naturally wouldn't look for demon god Li Shi. Firstly, Divine Lord Lan Ting was a Divine Lord powerhouse and had absolute confidence. Secondly, cooperating with demon god Li Shi was equivalent to strengthening the enemy's strength. If not for the fact that he had no other choice, Wang Dingquan would never do this. Wah! Space rippled. It did not cut through space like the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company's flying ship. Instead, it rippled with spatial energy. It originated from God Master Lan Ting, who had profound attainments in the Tao of space. His eyes were rolling with lightning, and his entire body was emitting a powerful aura. He had come. Under normal circumstances, the spaceship would not be able to catch up. But with God Master Lan Ting's teleportation, it was sufficient. Knowing the approximate location, teleporting would save time. Using the spaceship to locate the location and fly while recovering spatial energy, God Master Lan Ting would arrive in less than 3 years. Furthermore, it was an easy task. Wang Dingquan from the whole clan greets Senior. Following Wang Dingquan's respectful greeting, the group of experts from the whole clan knelt down on one knee. They shouted in unison with a majestic aura. This was not just their respect for God, Master Lan Ting. It was also a show of force to Lin Feng, who was currently on the West Eel. "You are dead, brat." Wang Dingquan's slightly bowed face revealed a strand of killing intent. His eyes were filled with hatred and anger. He unknowingly clenched his fists, causing his veins to bulge. A God Master expert. Inside the West Eel, Lin Feng was also somewhat stunned. He did not expect the mere whole clan to be able to invite such an important person. This was one of the few super experts from Yun, Xi, and Cosmic Nation that he had seen in the spaceship's AI information. Through the virtual projection system, the screen projected the scene outside. It was magnificent and clear. One of the 3 holy lands of Yun, Xi, and Cosmic Nation, the master of Sacred Thunder Tower. God Master Lan Ting. Lin Feng's expression was grave. Chapter 2292. Lin Feng wasn't the only one to see God, Lord Lan Ting. The virtual projection system practically blurred the West Eel's surroundings, so the entire Steelbone Spaceship Company's elite maintenance team could see it. However, all of them remained expressionless as they focused on their work. As an elite maintenance technician, Chi Datong glanced at God, Lord Lan Ting, out of the corner of his eye, then glanced at Lin Feng. After that, he continued his inspection. This sort of thing was nothing out of the ordinary for them. However, there weren't many people who could provoke a titan like God Lord Lan Ting in Yunshin Cosmic Nation. What to do? Lin Feng looked outside. His heart was filled with complicated thoughts that were difficult to unravel. He had already prepared himself for the worst-case scenario of running into a peak celestial god like Demon Godly Sure, but he hadn't expected God Lord Lan Ting to come. The whole clan had gone too far this time. That was a god lord. Lin Feng knew that he stood no chance in front of such a powerhouse. This is really troublesome. Lin Feng had to admit that the whole clan's move had truly checkmated him, and it was practically unsolvable. One side was worried, while the other was happy. Everyone on God Lord Lan Ting's side was happy, and everyone else was secretly excited. After decades of waiting, there was finally a result. No one in Yunshin Cosmic Nation had been able to escape God Lord Lan Ting's capture. Wang Dingquan was no exception. Although God Lord Lan Ting had ruthlessly butchered him, he had at least vented some of his anger. As a clan leader, he prioritized benefits above all else, so he couldn't let that human brat off no matter what. Otherwise, he would lose all face. If word got out, the patriarch's prestige and reputation of the race would plummet. These intangible losses were often greater than tangible ones. But now, there was no need to worry. Steelbone's Spaceship Company. God Lord Lan Ting's indifferent gaze glanced at the docked spaceship, then fell on the West Eel that Lin Feng was on. He understood. A cicada shedding its carapace. Clever. God Lord Lan Ting smiled noncommittally. His body seemed to pass through endless space, and the ripples in space were extremely weak. The experts of the whole race only felt their eyes blur for a moment before they lost sight of God Lord Lan Ting. Inside the West Eel, whoosh, God Lord Orchid Pavilion appeared, his entire body crackling with lightning. The pressure he exuded was so great that no one dared to approach him. Normal warriors wouldn't dare to teleport directly into a spaceship because they would be attacked like fish on a chopping board. What's more, the spaceship itself had a mechanism that prevented teleportation, so it wasn't easy to enter. But none of this was enough to stop God Lord Lan Ting. Oh, God Lord Lan Ting looked at Lin Feng curiously. Greetings, Divine Lord Lan Ting. Lin Feng gently bowed his head. Even though the visitor didn't come with good intentions, he still had to show proper etiquette before he completely shed all pretense of cordiality. At the very least, this would lessen the killing intent of the other party. As for what happened after that, he could only deal with it as it came. So you're the one who killed the hull pilot. God Lord Lan Ting's eyes flashed. A mere peak god, still wet behind the ears, was able to inflict such heavy losses on the whole race and infuriate Wang Dingquan. How interesting. Senior, please understand. I have no intention of making an enemy out of the whole race, Lin Feng said. God Lord Lan Ting indifferently said, I'm not interested in your affairs. I owe the whole race a small favor, and I'll return it today. Do you want to come with me, or do you want me to take you by force? Although his voice was flat, there was a domineering air to it that made one very uncomfortable. But God Lord Lan Ting truly had the strength and confidence to back him up. Hey! Suddenly, a loud voice came from behind him. The red-haired Chi Datong walked over and sternly said, Lan Ting, this is against the rules. If you take him away like this, how am I supposed to collect the bill? Chi Datong. God Lord Lan Ting slightly frowned. He naturally recognized this elite maintenance technician from the Steel Bone Spacecraft Company. He had seen him when he entered, but he had been unwilling to pay attention to him, hoping that he would be sensible and not interfere. How about this? You pay the maintenance fee, and you can take this kid away if you want. I don't care. Chi Datong had nothing to lose, so he shouted in a hoarse voice. Maintenance fee? God Lord Lan Ting's expression hardened. He naturally knew that Chi Datong's fee was high. The maintenance fee started at 10 cosmos crystals. That was enough to buy a high-grade pinnacle true treasure. Although God Lord Lan Ting was rich, he would not be so extravagant. After all, with his strength, breaking through to the God Lord level would require a large amount of money to cultivate and reach the peak of the God Lord level. Thus, he would rather lower himself to deal with a small fellow, as long as there was profit to be made. If one could not cultivate beyond the limit and become a paragon, a God Lord would only have a little more lifespan than a celestial god. This, God Lord Lan Ting hesitated. With his strength, he was not afraid of Lin Feng, and he could definitely take Lin Feng away by force, but he could not do so. Although the vast 1,000 cosmos prioritized strength, but who was Chi Datong's backer? The Steelbone Universe Ship Company. In front of such a behemoth, a mere Yun Xian cosmic nation was nothing. In the entire Xing Feng astral sector, there were at least 8,000 similar universes, not to mention those bigger than Yun Xian cosmic nation. Oh! Lin Feng was also surprised. At the end of the road, there was always a glimmer of hope. Even someone as strong as God Lord Lan Ting, who had the power to look down on all mountains, was afraid. There's hope, Lin Feng thought. Okay, I'll give you some face, Chi Datong. Let's wait until I fix the 7th series of Earth Bones. God Lord Lan Ting was a decisive person, and he immediately retreated in order to advance. It looked like he was giving himself a way out, but he was actually secretly warning Chi Datong. Face was given to him by everyone. I'll let you go this time, but after you fix the 7th series of Earth Bones, don't interfere with my business. Oomph. Chi Datong snorted, his big nose twitching. I have no interest in your business. Then he turned around and roared. Brats, move faster. The next order is already being broken. God Lord Lan Ting retreated to one side of the ship and leaned against it lightly. His transparent eyes looked at Lin Feng with a faint smile, as if to say, let's see where you can run to. It was just a matter of waiting for a year or so, and then his eyes would open again. God Lord Lan Ting was calm and composed as he chatted with Chi Datong, trying to get close to him. He was stronger than Chi Datong, but his status was not. In the Xing Feng astral sector, Chi Datong would be a popular talent wherever he went, and he was just an ordinary, low-level godlord. I have to think of a way. To Lin Feng, there was hope, but it was still very slim. Even if the West Eel was fixed, what was the point? God Lord Lan Ting was here, and he couldn't chase him away. Once the Steelbone Universe Ship Company's maintenance staff left, he and the West Eel would become God Lord Lan Ting's property. Chapter 2293. Senior Chi. Lin Feng quickly came up with an idea. Don't call me senior this senior. Chi Da Tong was busy testing the control room, so he didn't even raise his head as he replied, "You're a guest. If there's anything you need to do, just tell me. If there's anything you need, just ask. However, this is limited to the Earthbone 7 series. Anything else is off the table." His cold words seemed to push people 1,000 miles away. Chi Da-tong had seen this sort of thing many times before. Lin Feng didn't care about Chi Da-tong's tone and continued to smile. "Senior, may I ask if I want to join the Steelbone Spacecraft Company? What are the requirements?" "What?" While Chi Da-tong was still in shock, God Lord Lan Ting's expression changed, his tiger-like eyes glinting coldly as if he wanted to kill Lin Feng with his gaze. He didn't expect him to be so shameless. "Join the Steelbone Spacecraft Company? Just you?" Chi Da-tong glanced over Lin Feng from the corner of his eye. "Sorry, I don't have that authority. You'll have to go to the company and apply yourself." He immediately refused. God Lord Lan Ting sneered as he watched Lin Feng make a scene. "Oh, I don't know where it is. Are you going to apply for me?" Lin Feng didn't give up. "Stop dreaming." Chi Da-tong's refusal was very straightforward. This time, he didn't even turn his head as he said, "You're not the first person who wants to escape danger by joining the Steelbone Spacecraft Company, and you won't be the last. The company has a written rule that the maintenance staff are not allowed to do anything other than repair the spacecraft." After saying this, Chi Da-tong stood up and patted the control room. "The spacecraft has mostly been repaired, and only the finishing touches are left. We'll just do a complete inspection." As he spoke, he ordered the maintenance staff to begin the final inspection. As an elite maintenance technician, Chi Da-tong was naturally meticulous and didn't make any mistakes. God Lord Lan Ting stood to the side with his arms crossed, looking at Lin Feng as if he were a joke. This scene of a prey struggling for its life gave him an inexplicable sense of satisfaction, as if he was in control of everything. "You think you're smart. Do you think it's that easy to join the Steelbone Spacecraft Company? Every maintenance worker here is the elite of the elites from the various universe countries. Not only are they smart, but they're also very familiar with machinery and technology. Every era, many universe country elites come here because of its reputation. There are many tests, but the passing rate is less than 1 in 10,000. God Lord Lan Ting leisurely said. As one of the masters of the 3 holy lands of Yunshin Cosmic Nation, he knew better than anyone else. "Oh," Lin Feng replied non-committally. He did not have much hope in the first place. This was the Steel Bone Spaceship Company, one of the biggest companies in the Xingfeng astral world. If it was so easy to join, it would have long been overcrowded. He was just giving a try. If the best plan doesn't work, we'll have to resort to the middle plan. Lin Feng glanced at God, Lord Lan Ting, and smiled. If he were him, he would have just killed the other party and ended everything. Since he was already thick-skinned enough to bully the weak, there was no need for him to maintain his chastity and give his opponent a chance to take advantage of him. He was no longer demanding. Since he had made his decision, Lin Feng closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. This sort of bone-deep pressure would allow him to rapidly increase his strength. Even if it was only for a year or so, it could be a massive opportunity. After all, the comprehension of the heavenly Tao was often achieved in an instant. Cultivate. God Lord Lan Ting couldn't help but laugh. What's the point of sharpening your spear at the last minute? He didn't care at all. This was just a peak god. Even if he could increase his strength by another level, so what? No matter how strong an ant was, it was still an ant. The atmosphere on the West Eel was calm and peaceful. Outside the West Eel, Wang Dingquan and the experts of the whole race were anxiously waiting. They had thought that God Lord Lan Ting would quickly resolve the situation, but after so long, there had been no response at all. It was so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. Could something have happened? That's God Lord Lan Ting we're talking about. Maybe he ran into some small mishap. Wang Dingquan was both anxious and nervous. God Lord Orchid Pavilion was his trump card, and he could only use it once. This was because God Lord Orchid Pavilion owed his ancestor a long time ago. Otherwise, given his strength and status, he would not have been able to invite God Lord Lan Ting. There's no problem. A mere brat is no match for God Lord Lan Ting. Wang Dingquan consoled himself. He stared at the west eel, his heart beating faster and his breathing ragged. He felt like something was about to happen. The repairs on the west eel were completed. All the problems, big and small, were no problem for the Steelbone Spacecraft Company's elite maintenance team. In less than 4 years, they had completed the repairs flawlessly. Chidatong had pursued perfection, or else there wouldn't have been any problems even if they hadn't been tested. After all, the elite maintenance team almost never made any mistakes. "Please inspect," Chidatong said. "No need. I trust your skills," Lin Feng said with a smile. Chidatong nodded, and then a bill appeared in his hand. He handed it over. "This is all the parts, materials, and labor needed for the repairs. The total cost is 10 cosmos crystals." Lin Feng took the bill and put it away. The two of them looked at each other, staring at each other. The other skilled maintenance workers also looked over, and the entire west eel fell into a momentary silence. 10 cosmos crystals. Chidatong stretched out a hand. "I don't have any money." Lin Feng directly took the bill. The skilled maintenance workers all widened their eyes and took a deep breath. God Lord Lan Ting, who had been grinding his fists, was also stunned by this scene. What was this? F***CK, reneging. Something's not right. God Lord Lan Ting's heart thumped as he instantly understood Lin Feng's plan. His eyes flashed, and he forcefully suppressed his anger. Lightning crackled around him. Chidatong stared at Lin Feng, a hint of anger on his face. As for the other skilled maintenance workers, although their expressions were unfriendly, since Chidatong had not said anything, they naturally did not have a chance. "Very good. You even dare to renege on the Steelbone Spacecraft Company's debt?" Chidatong's face was cold as he instantly withdrew his gaze from Lin Feng. He waved his hand. "Seize him and bring him back to the branch for the minister to deal with." "Yes, Your Excellency," the skilled maintenance workers replied. Their figures flashed, and just as they were about to capture Lin Feng, space suddenly changed. The earth spun, and the entire west eel seemed to enter a different dimension, the universe flipping upside down. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Thunder and lightning covered the entire west eel, and it was as if dragons and phoenixes were dancing. Its power was terrifying, and even a celestial god would be reduced to ashes if they touched it. However, this terrifying power was like a tamed beast, not damaging the west eel in the slightest. Its control was so strong that it left everyone gasping in amazement. "You want to take him away?" God Lord Lan Ting hovered in the center of the west eel, his eyes like lightning and sinister. "Did you ask for my permission?" Chapter 2294. He had endured it again and again until he reached the end of his patience. God Lord Lan Ting was no pushover. He was the master of Sacred Thunder Tower, one of the 3 sacred lands of Yun Xian Cosmic Nation. Even the country lord had to treat him with respect. He had already given Chidatong face as a form of respect to Steelbone Spaceship Company. But now, Chidatong wanted to take away the prey he had set his eyes on. No matter how good-tempered God Lord Lan Ting was, he could no longer hold back. This was too much. If a tiger didn't show its might, it would be taken for a sick cat. "Give him to me, Chidatong, and we'll let bygones be bygones and pretend nothing happened. Otherwise," God Lord Lan Ting's eyes were fierce as he harumphed, his meaning obvious. "Are you threatening me, Lan Ting?" Chidatong was not at all intimidated by God Lord Lan Ting's aura, his expression indifferent. "So what if I am?" God Lord Lan Ting stared at Chidatong. This time, he didn't back down even half a step. Face is given by others, but face is lost by oneself, God Lord Lan Ting said coldly. "A strong dragon cannot suppress a local snake. Even if word of this gets out, I won't be in the wrong. Steelbone Spaceship Company might be famous in the Xing Feng astral boundary, but you can't bully others like this." "You." Chidatong's old face turned red. With his status, it was very rare for someone to talk back to him like this, let alone in front of all his subordinates. "Cut the crap. Are you going to hand him over or not?" God Lord Lan Ting waved his hand impatiently. He had already lost his patience. Since he had already fallen out with Chi Datong, there was no need to be polite. At worst, he would apologize to Steel Bone Spaceship Company later and resolve this matter. But now he would not back down even half a step. Otherwise, they would really think that he was a coward and easy to bully. With so many eyes from the whole clan watching, if he couldn't even resolve this small matter, how could he maintain his standing in Yun Xin Cosmic Nation if word got out? I'll take him back and hand him over to the minister. A thick layer of armor formed around Chi Datong's body, and the surging aura of the earth sank into it like an indestructible mountain. If you also want him, you can come with me to Yun Xin Cosmic Nation and discuss it with the minister. God Master Lan Ting sneered. Don't give me that. If you don't hand him over today, don't even think about taking half a step out of this place. So you can't come to an agreement? Chi Datong narrowed his eyes. His red hair billowed in the wind as a pair of earthen yellow hammers appeared in his hands. They contained a terrifying amount of earth energy. This was a supreme treasure of the heavenly Taos. If we can't reach an agreement, so be it. Do you think I'm afraid of you? God Lord Lan Ting roared, his eyes sharp. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding lightning bolts surged in from all directions, no longer under any control. As they hurtled toward Lin Feng and Chi Datong, they destroyed the entire West Eel, blasting it to pieces. Snap, screech, rumble. The West Eel exploded. Although the maintenance workers were injured by the lightning, it was clear that God Lord Lan Ting had held back. When the West Eel was destroyed, he had weakened the power of the lightning and given them room to retreat. It seemed so powerful that even the West Eel had been destroyed, but in truth, God Lord Orchid Pavilion was still apprehensive. Fighting was one thing. After all, both sides had their own reasons, and it was hard to say who was right and who was wrong. But killing the people on the Steelbone cosmic ship was a different story. Boom! 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 Chi Datong's power erupted, and his two hammers slammed into the ground. His vigorous energy formed a defensive tower that not only resisted the lightning bolts, but also protected Lin Feng. Many thanks. Lin Feng was truly grateful. Chi Datong was helping him. He seemed cold and aloof, but he was actually a soft-hearted person. Qin Yi owed him a great favor. The victor was clear in a single exchange. Although God Lord Lan Ting had yet to use his full strength, his strength was enough to completely crush Chi Datong. Qin Yi's defenses couldn't even withstand a single blow. Even his mid-level supreme treasure, 10,000 years of emptiness, had only consumed a small amount of God Lord Lan Ting's spatial energy. The difference in level was too great. In the face of a God Lord, Qin Yi felt utterly powerless. Break through for me. Lin Feng inwardly roared. He thirsted for strength and was unwilling to accept the outcome of this battle. He desperately wanted to break through at this moment, but he was completely powerless to fight back. Even the peak celestial god Chi Datong, with his heavenly Tao supreme treasure as his defense, could barely hold on. God Lord Lan Ting was too strong. If not for the fact that he was worried about Chi Datong and didn't dare injure him, Chi Datong wouldn't have been able to last more than 3 moves. If he wanted to fight back against God Lord Lan Ting, he would have to break through to level 2 of the 9 heavens of light and darkness. Only then would he have a sliver of hope. Light and darkness bloodlines crisscrossed as Lin Feng forced himself to break through. All the pressure was on his shoulders, and the sound of Chi Datong's and God Lord Lan Ting's clashing echoed in his ears. If he didn't break through now, once Chi Datong's defenses collapsed, the result would be unsalvageable. Shura's killing intent exploded as all the pressure on him exploded. Formidable. God Lord Lan Ting is too formidable. Give him a good beating. The experts of the whole race retreated to the side and yelled in excitement. They naturally stood on God Lord Lan Ting's side, and seeing him show off his might and beat the experts of the Steel Bone Spaceship Company into a sorry state made them feel extremely pleased. Previously, they had been completely suppressed by him. They're actually fighting. Wang Dingquan had never imagined that after waiting for so long, God Lord Lan Ting would start fighting with the members of the Steel Bone Spaceship Company. One was a dragon and the other was a tiger. When a dragon and a tiger fought, one of them was bound to be injured. No matter who was injured, the whole race would not benefit from it. I can only hope that this battle ends quickly. I'm sure God Lord Lan Ting understands this better than I do. Wang Dingquan said to himself. End this battle quickly? God Lord Lan Ting wanted to do the same, but he couldn't. It was too difficult to break through Qi Datong's defenses without injuring him. Although Qi Datong was only a peak celestial god, he cultivated the earth and space lineage, so his defenses were astonishing. Moreover, he was a member of the Steel Bone Spaceship Company, so he was far wealthier and had better treasures than a god lord like him. The only thing he could do now was increase the speed at which he consumed Qi Datong's energy. After all, he didn't really need to defeat Qi Datong. All he needed to do was kill that human brat under Qi Datong's protection. If I had known this would happen, I would have attacked long ago. God Lord Lan Ting was riding a tiger and finding it hard to back down, and he was extremely vexed. If he had attacked long ago, he would have been able to kill Lin Feng as easily as blowing off dust. There would have been no need for this. Although God Lord Lan Ting had spoken in a forceful manner, he actually wasn't very confident. After all, this was the Steel Bone Spaceship Company, a behemoth of the Xing Feng astral plane. It had far too many god lords, and someone like him wouldn't even glance at it. Qi Datong was just a non-combatant. The combatants under the command of the Steel Bone Spaceship Company were no laughing matter. They were practically invincible at the same level. Chapter 2295. When people were forced into desperate straits, they would erupt with power. God Lord Orchid Pavilion's helplessness and unwillingness, his guilt and gratitude toward Qi Datong, and the ferocity of the battle allowed Lin Feng to finally cross that critical threshold. His light and darkness bloodlines had reached a new level of mastery, a breakthrough in level. To Lin Feng, this was a milestone. The transformation and breakthrough of the light and darkness bloodline were like dominoes falling down. The life level that had been shackling Lin Feng had finally crossed a crucial point. The second sky of light and darkness was equivalent to the sixth level of the space Heavenly Way secret technique. As a result, Lin Feng no longer needed to be shackled to the peak of the god level. A celestial god expert, Hua, energy surged out of his body, and Lin Feng felt like a valve had been opened, allowing him to absorb as much energy as he wanted. Without needing the meager energy of the outside world, Lin Feng was completely self-sufficient because he had fused with a wandering planet. The light and darkness bloodline, the seventh level. The black vortex, the seventh level. His physical body was instantly strengthened by several times. 10,000 years is nothing. 1,000 years. The improvement of the black vortex had also greatly increased Lin Feng's attainments in the space Tao, allowing him to cross the 100-year threshold and reach the 1,000-year threshold. Coupled with the massive increase in his physical strength, the 10,000 years is nothing was truly beginning to display its power. Although he still hadn't reached the limit, he was already quite impressive. Swish! God Lord Orchid Pavilion grimaced. Originally, he didn't care about this insignificant space domain at all. But now, it seemed to be constantly devouring his space energy, as if it was corroding his bones. Although it was still within an acceptable range, which normal person would allow fleas and mosquitoes on their body. This brat actually broke through. God Lord Orchid Pavilion could naturally sense that Lin Feng's life energy had advanced yet another step. But what caused his heart to palpitate even more was that just crossing a single level of life had caused his strength to explosively increase. He had gone from a weakling that couldn't withstand a single blow from Qi Datong's wings, instantly growing to the same level as Qi Datong. His attacks are even stronger. God Lord Orchid Pavilion frowned. That terrifying saber energy had come from none other than this little scoundrel who had been preserving his strength this entire time. Lei Tao. Bolts of lightning surged, but God Lord Lan Ting did not try to dodge. This had never been his forte. He was best at attacking, using endless bolts of lightning to bombard his opponent. Rolling lightning surged towards Lin Feng like a tsunami. At this moment, Lin Feng's saber light was like a lone sail in the ocean, completely unable to withstand the terrifying lightning energy. Indeed, Lin Feng's strength increased along with his life rating, directly reaching the peak of the heavenly god realm. However, most of his powers still needed to be stabilized and refined. Moreover, a peak heavenly god was still only a heavenly god. Lin Feng was now facing one of the three holy lands of Yunxin Cosmic Nation, the master of the sacred Thunder Tower, Lord God Lan Ting. Not only was he a lower divine master, but he had also been a lower divine master for countless eras. Even though Lin Feng was now a low-level god lord, he couldn't shake God, Lord Lan Ting, in the slightest. God Lord Orchid Pavilion's eyes flashed with killing intent. Naturally, he would not allow such a human to exist, as it might threaten him in the future. He had only just become a heavenly god, but he already had strength that surpassed the majority of peak heavenly gods. If he had just a little more time, he would be even more formidable. Plush. In this clash, Lin Feng was forced back again and again. No, there's not enough time. Although he had broken through in his life rating, converting it into his own strength required a long period of time to consolidate and cultivate. Normally, when a person reached level 2 of the 9 heavens of light and darkness, they would be comparable to a peak heavenly god. Lin Feng was keenly aware that when he reached this level, he would be even stronger. But now, time was not on his side. Boom! Boom! The earth trembled as the twin hammers imbued with vigorous energy charged forward. The moment Lin Feng was forced back, Chidatong stepped forward to block God Lord Lan Ting. The timing was impeccable. Okay. Lin Feng's eyes brightened, turning retreating into advancing. He shot forward like a bolt of lightning, his powerful saber technique coupled with his terrifying physical body as he attacked God Lord Lan Ting in close combat. Lin Feng was keenly aware of his current strength. Once he got close, he would be no weaker than God Lord Lan Ting. Swish! The sixth move of the myriad obscuring heavenly saber, cleaving heavenly will. This was the strongest saber technique, condensed with the light and darkness bloodline, and unleashed all its power. Chi Datong's eyes flashed with surprise, and then he unleashed a circle of earth energy that blocked God Lord Lan Ting's vision and increased his control. Their coordination was perfect. Oh no! By the time God Lord Lan Ting reacted, Lin Feng's attack was already pressing forward like a hot knife through butter, stabbing into his body like a sharp knife. No matter how fast God Lord Lan Ting reacted, he was still injured. Swish! 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 Space suddenly twisted 3 times in a row. Lin Feng instantly lost God Lord Lan Ting's position and could only watch as his chance slipped away. Behind him, Chi Datong slightly frowned. He was keenly aware that he had gained the upper hand by attacking, while God Lord Lan Ting was unprepared. But in terms of mastery of space, the two of them added together were far inferior to God Lord Lan Ting. At this moment, Lan Ting wiped away the blood at the corner of his lips, his eyes glowing like those of a fiend's. His lightning had fused with space, and his energy was several times stronger than before. As he stood in the air, God Lord Lan Ting was infuriated. He had been injured. Although his injuries were very light, the surrounding pairs of eyes had already caused him to lose all face. He was the sacred lord of lightning. That human youth has gotten even stronger. It can't be. He actually managed to injure God, Lord Lan Ting. He's too unfathomable. That's the master of the sacred Thunder Tower, a lower god lord. How could this be? How could this be? How could he be so strong? Shock, astonishment, fear. All sorts of thoughts appeared in the minds of the Hull clan members, and panic appeared on their faces. Patriarch Wang Dingquan swallowed his saliva. His complexion alternated between green and white. He was completely dumbfounded. And here he was, trying to kill that human brat. He was already a peak celestial god. Even God Lord Lan Ting had been injured by him. If God Lord Lan Ting couldn't kill him, what would happen? It was unthinkable. No. Wang Dingquan's body trembled as he broke out in a cold sweat. A peak celestial god could easily destroy a large clan, and he was powerless to stop him. All he could do now was pray to the gods and Buddha that God Lord Lan Ting could eliminate this great threat. You must kill him, Wang Dingquan roared in his heart. This was also what God Lord Lan Ting was thinking. He would never let this brat go. Throwing aside all distracting thoughts, the only thing left in God Lord Lan Ting's mind was a frenzied desire to kill. If he didn't kill this human today, he wouldn't just lose face. He might even leave behind a great threat. God Lord Lan Ting could not take this risk. You have truly angered me. God Lord Lan Ting's energy erupted, no longer hiding it. The energy of a lower god lord was like a prairie fire, searing and powerful. Chapter 2296. God Lord Orchid Pavilion had been holding back this entire time. It wasn't because he had a good personality and didn't like killing, but because he was afraid of the behemoth behind Chi Dadong. The Steel Bone Spaceship Company was not an existence that an expert of his level could provoke. But now he felt like he had been slapped in the face, and he was bleeding. If he continued to endure, the heavens would no longer tolerate him. He was a dignified divine master expert. Lightning Wave. He once more used the Heavenly Tao lightning technique, but this time, the power was completely different. Last time, God Lord Orchid Pavilion had been worried that he would accidentally injure Chi Datong. But this time, he threw caution to the wind. He wanted to regain his dignity, regain his strength. Bang! Bang! The waves of lightning collided with Chi Datong's halo of the earth, sending sparks flying. This was a true clash of strength, and God Lord Orchid Pavilion's tyrannical strength was on full display. Even though Chi Datong had a stronger Heavenly Tao treasure, there was still a massive gap between the two of them. One was only a peak celestial god, but the other had been a lower god lord for countless epochs. This was an absolute difference in strength, and it was not something that techniques or treasures could make up for. Even if there was one more person. Shattering heaven's will. Shura's killing intent unleashed Lin Feng's strongest saber technique, several times stronger than Chi Datong's. It was like a sharp blade piercing through God Lord Orchid Pavilion's endless waves of lightning, causing the hearts of the whole race experts to stop beating. God Lord Orchid Pavilion's eyes were filled with disdain. Space twisted as the endless waves of lightning changed directions, twisting the fabric of space itself. Bolts of lightning circled around Lin Feng's saber energy, but then they instantly surrounded and destroyed it. Clang! Space shattered as the lightning struck Lin Feng's chest. Dying! God Lord Orchid Pavilion no longer wanted to capture Lin Feng. He only wanted to end this battle as quickly as possible. The bolts of lightning transformed into 9 lightning dragons that lunged at Lin Feng, intersecting with each other, overlapping in a spiral that created a massive mirror image. 9 dragons seized the throne. After countless epochs of bitter cultivation, God Lord Orchid Pavilion had countless killing techniques. Go! Chi Datong gripped the yellow hammer in his hand and erupted with the ultimate power of the Heavenly Tao treasure. The yellow light filled the sky, trapping the 9 tyrannical thunder dragons. Roars rang out one after another. A direct confrontation of strength. Neither side was willing to give an inch, with one side attacking and the other defending. God Lord Lan Ting's eyes brightened as he roared. Anyone who stands in my way will die. A tyrannical strength instantly ignited and exploded. 9 thunder dragons condensed into one, their strength so great that they broke apart the yellow earth barrier. Arcs of lightning shot out in all directions. Chi Dadong spat out a mouthful of blood. Although his armor had withstood the brunt of the attack, the backlash and impact of the Heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure had still caused him significant injuries. In terms of strength, power, and technique, Chi Datong was far inferior to God Lord Lan Ting. Moreover, defending for too long was inevitable, and God Lord Lan Ting's attacks were too tyrannical for a celestial god to block. If not for Chi Datong's proficiency in defense, this attack would have taken his life. Senior Chi. Lin Feng's eyes were bloodshot. Seeing that Chi Datong had been heavily injured made him seethe with rage. Endless energy surged into his mind, and space energy had already begun to gather, igniting the black vortex of the seventh stage. The moment God Lord Lan Ting broke through Qi Datong's defenses, his astonishing energy transformed into a spiral triangle that shot forward. Heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure, the Bermuda Triangle. Its main offensive ability, the Triangle Grave. Swish! The rotation of the spiral triangle was even faster than before. Lin Feng's mastery of space had increased, and his control over the supreme treasure had reached a new level. His anger and pressure caused his strength to soar. Reckless fool. God Lord Lan Ting didn't take Lin Feng seriously at all. In his view, this human brat wasn't even on the same level as him. What did it matter if his life level had increased? The gap between their levels was still as stark as ever. But as the spiral triangle got closer and closer, God Lord Lan Ting's expression turned more and more grave. He also cultivated the space law Heavenly Tao. So how could he not sense how terrifying this attack was? A mid-level Heavenly Tao, Supreme Treasure. God Lord Lan Ting hurriedly dodged, unwilling to take this attack head-on. But the attack of the Triangle Grave made it difficult for him to completely dodge, and the fact that it had broken through his armor left him with a light injury. His face was rather pale, and he cut a sorry figure. The surrounding whole race experts widened their eyes in disbelief. The first time could be considered a fluke, but this was the second time, and this was when God Lord Lan Ting was using all his strength. Kill him! Kill him! Wang Dingquan mentally roared, his eyes twitching as he got a bad feeling. Boom! The Bermuda Triangle attacked once more. Although it couldn't use its ultimate ability, the seventh stage of the Black Vortex and the endless energy of the wandering planet allowed the Heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure to begin to shine. In terms of pure offensive power, Lin Feng had already reached the level of a lower-level Godlord. Bastard thing! Godlord Lan Ting exploded, no longer caring about his injuries or his face. He only knew that if he didn't kill this human brat now, he wouldn't just lose face. In just a few short days, this human had grown from a pile of dirt that he couldn't even be bothered to look at to an existence that could injure him. He had taken in countless disciples, and the Sacred Thunder Tower was one of the 3 sacred lands of the Yun Xian Cosmic Nation, but he had never seen such a rising star. His potential was limitless. This sort of junior made him feel like a thorn in his back. So what if you have talent and potential? You're doomed to have no future. Thunder crackled as 2 halos of lightning appeared in God Lord Lan Ting's hands. They fused with the energy of the world as he used his Heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure for the first time. Not even he had expected that he would have to use all his wealth to deal with a mere brat. But he didn't want to waste any more time. Intuition told God Lord Lan Ting that he had to end this battle quickly. He had to use his strongest strength and the fastest speed to cut this human brat into 8 pieces. He couldn't give him a single chance, not even a little bit. Rumble. A monstrous energy seemed to blast a hole in the heavens. The ultimate ability of a true offensive Heavenly Tao Supreme Treasure was terrifying, and the Heavenly Tao of Lightning was particularly proficient in offense. The experts of the whole race were all stunned and breathless. This was the first time they had seen such a monstrous attack. The 2 halos of lightning transformed into an array of endless lightning, emitting a blue light that annihilated everything. Die! God Lord Lan Ting's eyes bulged out of their sockets, and he seemed like the incarnation of a devil that ruled over all living beings. Boom! Terrifying lightning and apocalyptic calamity hurtled toward Lin Feng. But at this moment, a white sword of light pierced through space like the dawn. It was fast and silent, but it completely displayed the Heavenly Tao of light. The blue light twisted and twisted as it was instantly sliced apart by the sword of light. Lightning flashed, but there was nowhere else for it to attach itself to, so it instantly dissipated. The great Tao was so simple that God Lord Lan Ting's monstrous attack was easily dispelled. It was just the power of a single sword. Swish! The sword of light sliced through the dumbfounded face of God, Lord Lan Ting, sending blood spraying into the air. Chapter 2297. The Wish. A flying sword carrying a bead of blood flew into the air. A thin figure slowly descended from the sky, like a shadow in the darkness. It was like an unsheathed sword, giving people a feeling of boundless sharpness. Ding ding. The flying sword returned to its sheath, and the thin man swept his cold gaze over the day's god, Lord Orchid Pavilion. His body flashed, and he appeared in the West Eel. He wasn't very tall, but he was an unapproachable figure. Bureau of Military Personnel, Wu Sanjian. What happened? The thin man flashed his token at Chi Da Tong before putting it away. The Bureau of Military Personnel. The experts of the whole race were still confused, but God Lord Orchid Pavilion's face was ghastly pale, his legs going soft. Beads of blood dripped down his cheeks, illuminating his pale face, and his eyes filled with fear. Even though they were both low-level God Lords, God Lord Orchid Pavilion's fear came from his heart and spread through his entire body. This was true fear. Paying respects to Lord Wu. Led by Chi Da Tong, the maintenance workers bowed. It was clear that this thin man had a higher status than Chi Da Tong's group. Speak. The thin man, Wu Sanjian, was a man of few words. It's like this, Lord Wu. Chi Da Tong gave a detailed account of what had happened. Thus, I sent out the signal for help. Fortunately, Lord Wu was nearby. Lin Feng came to a sudden realization. So this tyrannical Wu Sanjian was a helper that Senior Qi had called over. But what was the Bureau of Military Personnel? Whoosh! A sharp gaze fell on God Lord Orchid Pavilion, causing the latter to pale and stagger. Although they were both low-level God Lords, they were clearly not on the same level of strength. A misunderstanding. God Lord Orchid Pavilion waved his hands in panic. Speak. Wu Sanjian stared at God Lord Orchid Pavilion. Lord Wu, please understand. I have revered your company for a very long time, so I would never dare to offend it. It's just that I have a grudge against that human brat and was focused on capturing him. I didn't want Chi Da Tong to suddenly protect that human brat, so I accidentally injured him. God Lord Orchid Pavilion hurriedly said. Accidental injury? Wu Sanjian's expression was cold. Divine Lord Lan Ting swallowed his saliva. Lord Wu, as you know, it's inevitable that you'll lose your head in the heat of battle and lose control for a moment. But please believe me, I've always respected your company and had no other intentions. Oh, Wu Sanjian responded ambiguously. His gaze was still fixed on Divine Lord Lan Ting, causing the latter to break out in a cold sweat. He felt as if he was being stared at by an executioner, and his heart was filled with terror. I swear on my life and reputation that everything I said is true. God Lord Lan Ting raised 4 fingers and said, Are you apologizing? Wu Sanjian asked. Yes. God Lord Lan Ting's eyes lit up, and he hastily bowed to Chi Da Tong. I offended you just now, but I hope that Brother Chi will forgive this lowly one. The surrounding Hull clan experts were all dumbfounded. Who would have thought that the master of the sacred Thunder Tower, whose name shook the entire Yunshin cosmic nation, would bow and scrape like an ant? Are you apologizing without sincerity? Wu Sanjian asked. God Lord Lan Ting's face darkened. He gritted his teeth and immediately cut off his left arm, causing blood to spurt out. Enduring the pain, he said, Please forgive me, Brother Chi. Forget it, Chi Da Tong said. God Lord Lan Ting was, after all, a famous great being in Yunshin Cosmic Nation. Steelbone Universe Ship Company was above the other universe nations and rarely interfered in the affairs of universe nations, much less kill the innocent. After all, this concerned the reputation of the organization. Of course, some organizations were famous for it, but that was another matter altogether. Steelbone Universe Ship Company had always valued peace. Otherwise, Wu Sanjian would have killed God Lord Lan Ting with one slash. If he could avoid killing and causing trouble for Steelbone Universe Ship Company, he would avoid it. Why aren't you leaving? Wu Sanjian's eyes sharpened as he said rudely. Although his voice was calm, there was a hint of arrogance and power in it, as if he was looking down on God Lord Lan Ting. "Thank you, Lord Wu." God Lord Lan Ting gritted his teeth, his fists trembling uncontrollably. He had never been humiliated like this before, but he had no choice but to accept this humiliation in front of a great being from Steelbone Universe Ship Company. Every great being from the Ministry of War was at least as strong as a mid-level godlord. He was just a low-level godlord, and he would be reduced to ashes with a flick of a finger. Shwa! A figure flashed. Godlord Lan Ting felt as if he had been pardoned and fled with his severed arm. As long as there was life, even if there was no firewood, an arm was nothing. It could be regrown with a bit of effort and time. To Godlord Lan Ting, what he had truly lost this time was his reputation, the humiliation of being treated like mud under everyone's feet. In time, this news would spread throughout Yunshin Cosmic Nation. But he had no other choice. Say Senior. Wang Dingquan was so scared that his face was drained of blood. He bowed and kowtowed. "This has nothing to do with us. We've admired your company for a long time and have no ill intentions. We have nothing but respect. Please let us go." Even Godlord Lan Ting was treated like dirt, let alone the whole clan. As the patriarch, Wang Dingquan knew when to yield and when to stand tall. Being a coward was nothing. Staying alive was the most important thing. In the universe, the most important thing was to know the strong and the weak, to bend the knee, and to endure what others could not. Wu Sanjin looked at Qi Datong, who nodded. Wang Dingquan was not lying about this. They did not even dare say a word when they saw the Steelbone Spacecraft Company. "Let's go." Wu Sanjian's voice was cold, but it was like music to the ears of the whole clan members. They all wished they could grow more legs so that they could enter the spacecraft and run as far away as possible. Wang Dingquan even forgot about the destroyed Zenith. He entered the number 2 spacecraft and fled, afraid that Wu Sanjian would go back on his word. In the blink of an eye, the entire void was empty. Only the maintenance workers of the Steelbone Spacecraft Company, Wu Sanjian, Qi Datong, and Lin Feng were left. "Senior, thank you for saving my life," Lin Feng said gratefully to Wu Sanjian and Qi Datong. "I was just following the rules," Qi Datong said in a low voice. Wu Sanjian looked at Lin Feng from head to toe as if he wanted to see through him. His sharp eyes made people's hair stand on end, as if a sharp sword was cutting their flesh. Suddenly, Wu Sanjian's eyes shone brightly. "How dare you?" Lin Feng's heart trembled. "I had no choice but to do this. I hope Senior can forgive me. I will give you 10 cosmos crystals." "Is this an apology?" Wu Sanjian asked. "Yes, Senior." Lin Feng nodded. "Forget it, Master Wu," Qi Datong could not help but say. Wu Sanjian snorted. His aura made Qi Datong shut up. He stared at Lin Feng with his cold eyes. "An apology? Is there no sincerity?" Chapter 2298. Lin Feng was taken aback. He then recalled how God Lord Orchid Pavilion had cut off one of his arms to show his sincerity. With a soft black skeleton flashed as it slashed at his left arm. To him, this wasn't a big deal. God Lord Orchid Pavilion still needed to find a heaven and earth fruit to regrow his arm, so he could just transform into a true dragon avatar and fuse the two together to recover. Only a small amount of energy would be consumed, but to a wandering planet with an almost limitless amount of spatial energy, it was just a drop in the ocean. Ding! There was the sound of metal clashing. Black Skeleton was knocked aside. This was the treasure sword that had once forced God Lord Orchid Pavilion to retreat, Wu Sanjian. Lin Feng was surprised and looked over in confusion. "You're different from him." Wu Sanjian looked over coldly. You owe me money." Lin Feng was taken aback. "What money? 10 cosmos crystals?" Wu Sanjian snorted, apparently too lazy to explain. Qi Datong said, "Lord Wu means that he saved your life, so you have to give him money." "Ah." Lin Feng was also taken aback. How could a mighty expert be so vulgar? Qi Datong said, "Lord Wu is not only a member of the Bureau of Military Personnel, but he also joined the 7th Mercenary Alliance. He accepts all sorts of missions, including treasure hunting, exploration, killing, rescuing, and so on. Hiring a mercenary requires a fee, and the higher the rank, the higher the fee. Lin Feng nodded. The West Eel Mercenary Group was a 3-star mercenary group that belonged to the Mercenary Alliance. Wait a minute. There were many records of the Mercenary Alliance in the ship's information. Mercenaries were ranked from 1 to 9 stars, and each rank had a basic fee. For example, a 3-star mercenary's basic fee was 100 astral coins. A 4-star mercenary's basic fee was 1,000 astral coins. A 5-star mercenary's basic fee was 10,000 astral coins, which was 1 cosmos crystal. As for hiring a mercenary group, the basic fee was even higher. And this was only the basic fee, the lowest fee. The specific fee would depend on the difficulty of the mission, the time required, and other factors. Lord Wu, how many stars is he? Lin Feng bitterly smiled. Pa. This time, Wu Sanjian didn't need Qi Datong to answer. He took out a badge and pressed it against his chest. 7 golden stars shone brightly on the badge. Below them was the unique symbol of the 7th Mercenary Alliance, symbolizing honor and glory. 7-star mercenary. Lin Feng took a deep breath. One had to at least have the power of a mid-level almighty and complete enough missions to become a 7-star mercenary. And the basic hiring fee of a 7-star mercenary was 100 cosmos crystals? Lin Feng exclaimed. 10 times the price of saving lives. Wu Sanjian crossed his arms in front of his chest. His voice was quiet and proud. Clang! Lin Feng felt as if he had been hit in the head with a stick. His head felt dizzy. I don't have 1,000 cosmos crystals. Lin Feng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Ordinary high-grade pinnacle true treasures were only worth 10 cosmos crystals, while top-tier pinnacle true treasures and low-grade heavenly path true treasures were only worth 100 cosmos crystals. You do. Wu Sanjian's voice was cold. Oh, Lin Feng suddenly understood. Wu Sanjian had arrived early in the morning but did not make a move. Thus, he had seen the confrontation between Lu Cheng and Lord Godlon Ting, including the heavenly path true treasure, the Bermuda Triangle. With his eyesight, he could tell clearly. He did not have 1,000 cosmos crystals on him, but a mid-level heavenly path true treasure was worth more than 1,000 cosmos crystals. Only this one. As the saying goes, don't show off your wealth. Lin Feng was helpless. On the one hand, Wu Sanjian had indeed saved his life. On the other hand, he had spent a lot of effort to control a small part of the Bermuda Triangle's power. Even though it was only a small part, it had increased his power by a lot. So if I had not used the Heavenly Path True Treasure just now, Senior Wu, you would not have saved me. Lin Feng looked at Wu Sanjian. Give me a reason to save you, Wu Sanjian said coldly. Lin Feng nodded. Wu Sanjian had saved Qi Datong and the others because they all belonged to the Steelbone Spaceship Company. However, they had never met before, so there was no need to talk about benevolence or morality. After all, this matter had nothing to do with the Steelbone Spaceship Company. Qi Datong had helped him out of kindness. Wu Sanjian not helping him was also common sense. Senior Wu, can you reduce it? Qi Datong asked nervously. Although he was an elite maintenance technician and could be considered independent in the Yunxin Cosmic Nation, in the Xingfeng Astral Sector, his position was far from Wu Sanjian's. I need money, Wu Sanjian said directly. Qi Datong sighed. Thank you, Senior Qi. Lin Feng said sincerely and smiled. You have helped me enough. If there is a chance in the future, I will repay you. However, let me solve this matter myself. Looking at Wu Sanjian, Lin Feng bowed slightly. Thank you for saving my life, Senior Wu. No matter what Wu Sanjian's intentions were, he had indeed saved his life. There was no doubt about it. No need to be polite. Money. Wu Sanjian shamelessly extended his hand. Senior, is this what you want? Lin Feng took out the Bermuda Triangle and waved it. Sure enough, Wu Sanjian's eyes flashed. A space-type mid-level heavenly path treasure. I believe it should be worth more than 1,000 cosmos crystals. At least 2,000, Qi Datong whispered. Shua. Wu Sanjian stared at Qi Datong. The latter kept quiet out of fear, not daring to make a sound. Give me the treasure, and I will give you another 1,000 cosmos crystals. We are even. Wu Sanjian said coldly. I don't want the cosmos crystals. Lin Feng refused. Wu Sanjian frowned. I can accept your employment and help you kill people. God Lord Lan Ting and the entire Hull clan. Not interested, Lin Feng said. Then what do you want? Wu Sanjian showed an impatient expression. Very simple, Lin Feng said. I want to join the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company. Wu Sanjian was stunned. On the other side, Qi Datong and the other maintenance technicians were also stunned. I can't make the decision. Wu Sanjian shook his head. Qi Datong said, Little brother, the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company is very strict when it comes to recruitment. They only open recruitment once every era to all the universe countries in the Xing Feng astral sector. However, the prerequisite is that you have to be at least a pinnacle sky god. And if you want a shortcut, you need the recommendation of a strong warrior from the General Department. General Department? Lin Feng looked at Wu Sanjian. He seemed to remember that he was from the military department. Our Steel-Bone Universe Spaceship Company's combat personnel are all elites, divided into the King's Department, General's Department, Soldier's Department, and Army's Department. Mr. Wu is still far from the General's Department. Qi Datong finally found a chance to mock Wu Sanjian. Sure enough, Wu Sanjian's eyes glanced into the distance. So that's how it is. Lin Feng nodded in realization. No wonder Wu Sanjian couldn't help him. People always want to climb higher. Lin Feng naturally hoped to join the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company. Competing in such a powerful organization to improve himself and obtain the best resources would definitely be faster than training in Yun Xian Universe Country. However, there seem to be many difficulties. Chapter 2299. Actually, Senior Wu, it doesn't have to be the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company. Other powers of the same level are fine too. Lin Feng didn't have to join the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company. It was just that his knowledge was limited. In the West Eel's information, there was more information about the Yunxin Universe Nation. There was very little information about the Xing Feng astral sector. You think you can get in with just a few universe crystals? Wu Sanjian sneered. You're underestimating the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company. I don't have any blasphemous intentions. Please forgive me. Lin Feng apologized. Wu Sanjian knew Lin Feng's original intention and said, Xing Feng's astral world has space teleportation channels in various universe countries. 100 cosmos crystals will suffice. Sell me the space, heavenly Tao, true treasure, and the remaining money will be enough for you. Lin Feng frowned. In fact, Senior Wu's request was not too much. Although he coveted his heavenly path treasure, even thieves had their own principles and did not take it by force. With his strength, he could kill Yi Fuqian effortlessly and take the treasure, but he did not do so, which showed his character. However, he was a little reluctant to hand over the most useful and precious treasure he had at the moment. Most importantly, the Bermuda Triangle had the function of fixed-point space transfer. The reason why he was in a hurry to leave the Milky Way was because of the Milky Way super black hole. He was just relying on the energy of the wandering planets to prolong the period of destruction. The crisis wasn't over yet. Once the Bermuda Triangle was gone, it would be hard for him to find this place again. After entering the Steel-Bone Spaceship Company and contacting Senior Qi, he could return even without the Bermuda Triangle. However, if he entered the Xing Feng astral sector, he would be confused and lose control, including the Triangle Grave that he spent a lot of effort to cultivate. This was a pretty good space secret technique. Combined with the Bermuda Triangle, he could unleash the ultimate ability, the Triangle Destruction. Not only could he master the space secret technique, but he could also combine it with his black vortex to unleash the maximum power. Once again, I thank you for saving my life. Lin Feng looked at Wu Sanjian. Logically, I do have to give the heavenly treasure to you. However, I hope you can forgive me. I have my difficulties. If Senior trusts this Junior, I will offer this heavenly Tao treasure to you with both hands after 100,000 years, without asking for anything in return. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't care about a heavenly Tao treasure. After 100,000 years, the outcome of the Milky Way super black hole was already clear. At that time, whether or not he had it, it wouldn't make much of a difference. Wu Sanjian stared at Lin Feng with an indifferent expression. After a long time, he said, "So, you don't want to give it to me? Junior can join the Mercenary Alliance, take on missions, earn money, and slowly repay Senior." Lin Feng said. Wu Sanjian's expression was cold. "With your power, you can only kill a 5-star mercenary. One mission costs 1 Cosmos Crystal. How long do you have to wait? 1,000 Cosmos Crystals, I want it now." "This," Lin Feng frowned. "How about this? I'll help him pay this 1,000 Cosmos Crystals, Senior Wu." Cheetah Tong said. "No," Lin Feng and Wu Sanjian said in unison. "You've already helped me enough, Senior Chi." Lin Feng looked at Cheetah Tong. Although this red-haired and big-nosed man had a boorish appearance, he was cold and unapproachable when they first met. He seemed hard to talk to, but after getting along with him, he was cold on the outside, but warm on the inside. He was a genuine and resolute man. Although he was an elite maintenance technician with good earning ability, he had many brothers under him. Every single cent was hard-earned money. 1,000 Cosmos Crystals was also a huge sum to him. "I can't accept your kindness anymore." Lin Feng appreciates this kindness. Lin Feng said softly. "It's none of your business, Cheetah Tong. Don't eat until you're full." Wu Sanjian scolded without mercy. Slightly displeased, he turned to Lin Feng and said, "I'll give you 3 choices. Senior, please speak." Lin Feng said. Wu Sanjian's gaze was as sharp as a sword. "First, use a heavenly law true treasure or other treasures of the same value to repay the 1,000 Cosmos Crystals. I, Wu Sanjian, won't take advantage of you." Lin Feng shook his head. If he had other treasures worth this price, he would have taken them out long ago. Some pinnacle true treasures added together weren't even 10% of the value of the Bermuda Triangle. Wu Sanjian seemed to have expected this. He continued, "Second, pay the debt with your body. Follow me, and you'll get 1 Cosmos Crystal every 100 years. After 100,000 years, you'll regain your freedom." Lin Feng was startled. "Hurry up and agree. Senior Wu is giving you a way out." Cheetah Tong transmitted his voice and said, 1 Cosmos Crystal every 100 years. 100,000 years to earn 1,000 Cosmos Crystals. Where else can you find such a job? It was equivalent to 100,000 years to buy a top-grade elementary heavenly law true treasure or an ordinary mid-grade true treasure. To any enlightened master, it was a great deal. Usually, they would cultivate for hundreds of thousands of years at a time. As for divine master powerhouses, they would cultivate for even longer periods of time. If they followed Wu Sanjian, it was very likely that he would cultivate in seclusion for more than 100,000 years. Although he had lost his freedom, it was only on the surface. After all, a warrior's priority was cultivation. As for adventures, godly masters wouldn't bring a burden along. Phew, Lin Feng let out a sigh of relief. If the Milky Way super black hole wasn't about to be destroyed, it would undoubtedly be an excellent choice. Even without the 1,000 Cosmos Crystals, he should spend 100,000 years to repay the debt of saving his life. But now, this condition was too difficult for him to fulfill. "What's the third option, Senior?" Lin Feng asked. "The third option." Wu Sanjian's eyes suddenly sharpened. "Earn money." "Work?" Lin Feng was surprised. Wu Sanjian's face was cold. "It's risking your life." "What do you mean?" Lin Feng was curious. Wu Sanjian stretched out 2 fingers. "You can either participate in the Underground King Murdering Godfield or participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. As long as you have enough strength, you can earn 10,000 or even 100,000 Cosmos Crystals, let alone 1,000 Cosmos Crystals. The former is organized by the Murdering God Tower. The latter is organized by the Time Void Realm Company and the 7th Mercenary Alliance. The former has a higher mortality rate but higher profits. The latter has a lower mortality rate but lower profits." Wu Sanjian said coldly, "It's up to you to choose. The similarity between the two is that the god of death is beside you. You have no other choice but to risk your life. Decide quickly. I don't have time to waste on you. If you don't decide in 100 seconds, I'll kill you now." Wu Sanjian's eyes flashed. His killing intent penetrated the flying sword and tore the space apart. His power was endless. No need, Senior Wu. I already have an answer. Lin Feng replied slowly without any fear on his face. Chapter 2300. Think carefully, little brother. Qi Dadong couldn't help but advise. He had gone through trials and tribulations with Lin Feng. After spending some time together, Qi Dadong understood this human youth quite well. Judging from his words, expression, and reaction, his choice was actually very clear. I've thought it through, Senior Qi. Lin Feng smiled. There was no need to hesitate. Since there were only 3 choices, he could only choose one. The choice that Wu Sanjian gave him was actually a single-choice question for him. I choose the third, Senior Wu. Lin Feng didn't hesitate. Lin Feng was naturally adventurous and was no stranger to battle. Competition and ambition flowed in his blood. Lin Feng had a strong desire to become strong. This was deeply imprinted in his bones since he was young. He had never been afraid of battle. I admire your decisiveness. Wu Sanjian's voice was indifferent. Then, do you want to participate in the Underground King Slaughtering God Arena or the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge? Senior Qi, which one do you think is better? Compared to Wu Sanjian, Lin Feng trusted Qi Datong more. In terms of experience, as a member of the Steelbone Universe Ship Company, Senior Qi shouldn't be too far off. He wasn't familiar with the Xing Feng star boundary, so he would listen to Senior Qi's opinion. Qi Datong nodded. Although he didn't want Lin Feng to choose the third option, since it was Lin Feng's decision, he wouldn't interfere. Simply put, one is 1 versus 1, the other is 1 versus many. Qi Datong said. Oh, Lin Feng was curious. Qi Datong said, the Underground King Slaughtering God Arena organized by the Slaughtering God Tower is the fastest and most direct way to earn a large amount of money. 1 versus 1 duel, based on strength, is divided into 7 levels: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, slaughtering god, and underground king. Each level is divided into 7 stages. Killing 3 opponents of the same level consecutively will allow you to advance. The higher the level, the higher the appearance fee. Lin Feng nodded. In other words, it was an arena where the winner was king. Slaughtering God Tower. Lin Feng murmured. Such a power must be very rich. Just the entrance fee alone was quite high. Compared to the Steelbone Universe Ship Company, which one was stronger? Lin Feng didn't ask. He would find out sooner or later. Underground King's God-Slaying Arena's prize money is directly given out. You'll be given out for every round you win. The higher your level, the more you'll get. Most importantly, other than the prize money, there's also the appearance fee. Although it's not as good as the prize money, it's still quite considerable. Therefore, many strong cultivators who are in dire need of money will participate in the King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena to earn a lot of money. Your life rating is at the middle heavenly god level, so you will be assigned to the silver level. The appearance fee for the first stage is 100 astral coins, and the bonus is 1% of the income from the entrance fee. In the beginning, if you don't have much fame, the bonus is usually not as good as the appearance fee. However, as your fame increases, the bonus will gradually increase until it completely surpasses the astral coins. Lin Feng nodded. Your battle prowess has completely surpassed that of a mid-heavenly deity. Wu Sanjian crossed his arms over his chest and held his sword, saying coldly, It's enough to easily win the platinum rank. If you make good use of your odds, I believe 1,000 cosmos crystals won't be a big problem. However, there's always a chance. The King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena is a battle to the death, and the survival rate is extremely low. Qi Datong said, There's always a higher mountain. If you're unlucky, you'll meet a more monstrous opponent. Therefore, the risk of participating in the King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena is very high. Of course, the rewards are also very high. I understand. Lin Feng nodded. The second Time Void Realm Survival Challenge has very simple rules. To put it bluntly, it's just 3 words: survive. Qi Datong said, The King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena tests one's battle prowess and one's ability to fight one-on-one. However, the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge tests one's overall ability, including communication, concealment, survival, escape, and other aspects. Of course, strength is still the most important. One against many. Lin Feng suddenly understood. Qi Tong said, "The Time Void Realm is a product of the Time Virtual Company. It's formed by modifying a broken postnatal black hole. It's a void realm, but it's also a genuine existence. Moreover, it has the ability to accelerate time, so it's quite precious. The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge has 7 void realms. Each Time Void Realm has a strength limit. Unlike the King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena, the Time Virtual Company has the most advanced technology and AI in the Xing Feng astral boundary. It will clearly evaluate your battle prowess and then divide you into 7 Time Void Realms. Each Time Void Realm has a different flow of time. However, the time required to pass the test is the same in the outside world. There are 7 standards: 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, and 1,000,000 years. In addition to surviving, you also need to obtain other things. The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge doesn't have a basic participation fee, but there's a fixed reward. It's decided by the percentage of the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. The most special thing is that any martial artist can bet on themselves before entering. The AI of the Time Virtual Company will give the corresponding odds and rewards according to the martial artist's strength and the current danger level of the Time Void Realm. There are many specific details. If you decide to participate, the AI of the Time Virtual Company will inform you. I've never participated before, so I don't know the details. However, Lord Wu has participated before. Qi Tong said. Wu Sanjian coldly snorted. "I'm just trying to save time." "Save time?" Lin Feng didn't understand. Qi Tong said, "The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge is jointly organized by the Time Virtual Company and the 7th Mercenary Alliance. The 7th Mercenary Alliance's traditional promotion mechanism starts from 1 star. Even if you're a Divine Master, you need to accumulate missions to advance. It's very troublesome." Lin Feng knew. Accumulating mission quotas was very trivial. Qi Tong nodded. Therefore, if you participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, even if you can survive for 1 year, the 7th Mercenary Alliance will give you a star rank corresponding to your strength. This will save you a lot of time. Lin Feng suddenly understood. So, Senior Wu only completed the minimum standard? Lin Feng smiled. It's the primary standard. Wu Sanjian couldn't help but defend himself. Lin Feng smiled apologetically. He had a rough understanding. With Senior Wu's strength, he could only complete the primary standard. The difficulty could be imagined. Qi Tong said, "The death rate of the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge is lower. If you only complete the minimum standard, the survival rate can reach more than 10%. 10%? Lin Feng was surprised. If the minimum standard was only 10% and the primary standard was even higher, the death rate could be imagined. I personally suggest that you participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge." Qi Tong said seriously. Firstly, the death rate is within a controllable range. Secondly, little brother, you only need to earn 1,000 Cosmos Crystals. Thirdly, you could be like Lord Wu and directly obtain a star rank, saving a lot of time. Of course, the final decision is still up to you. Chapter 23:01. I'll participate in the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge. Lin Feng quickly made his decision. Although he liked one-on-one duels, the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge was the most suitable for him. After all, his first goal was the Milky Way super black hole. It was safer to participate in the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge. Just as Senior Qi had said, if he wanted to become a mercenary, participating in the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge would save him a lot of time. Qi Tong nodded. He had seen many experts of the younger generation who thought they were extraordinary. They tried to be brave and challenged the underground king of the god's slaughtering grounds, but they all died because they never knew how terrifying the next opponent would be. There was always a higher mountain. The underground king god-killing field was open to the entire Xing Feng astral sector and thousands of universe countries. Are you going back to Yun Exine universe country? Wu Sanjian looked at Qi Tong. You could choose not to, but we still have a job to do. Qi Tong said, but it's not too far to go back to Yun Xian Universe country. We can finish this job. Then I'll leave him to you, Wu Sanjian said. Qi Datong nodded. Okay, I promise. Okay. Wu Sanjian glanced at Lin Feng and didn't say anything. Like a flying sword, he disappeared without a trace. He came like the wind and left like the wind. Qi Datong sighed and looked at Lin Feng. Do you still want to repair it? The West Eel had been repaired, but it was damaged in the battle with Lord God Lan Ting. No need, Lin Feng said. There was no need to waste any more time. After all, the crisis had been resolved. Qi Datong nodded. The Earthbone 7 series is still a spaceship in Yun Xian Universe country, but it's a child's toy in Xing Feng Astral Sector. Go there and buy a new one. Okay. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. A child's toy? That was true. Lord God Lan Ting was a supreme being in Yun Xian Universe country, but in front of Wu Sanjian, he was like an ant. But Wu Sanjian was only a member of the Steelbone Universe Ship Company. Above the Steelbone Division were the Soldier Division, the General Division, and the King Division. Even when he participated in the Time Virtual Rel Survival Challenge, he had only passed the basic standard and was only slightly better than the lowest standard. With his pride, if he had the confidence to persevere, he would not give up. Xingfeng Astral Realm. Lin Feng's anticipation grew. This was the competitiveness and ambition that seeped into his bones. He wanted to become stronger. They left the Milky Way super black hole. Lin Feng had already used the Bermuda Triangle to set the spatial coordinates, ensuring that he could return at any time. As for Demon Godly Sure, who was outside the Milky Way super black hole, they didn't care about him for the time being. Although he had made a breakthrough in his battle with God, Lord Lanting Pavilion, he had only just broken through, so there was a limit to how much his battle power could increase. He still needed a long time to stabilize it. Demon Godly Sure had been a peak heavenly god for a long time. His strength was one of the best among the peak heavenly gods, and he was not easy to kill. Perhaps he could defeat him, but if he didn't have absolute confidence, it was very likely that he would let him escape. By then, with the size of Yun Xian Cosmic Nation, it would be difficult to find them again. The next time I come back, when I have the ability to deal with the super galaxy black hole, I will have enough power to deal with Demon Godly Sure. Lin Feng was not in a hurry, and neither was Jian. They had already waited for 1 billion years. Why would they care about 100,000 years? Senior Qi, how much can these 2 ships sell for? Lin Feng had also snatched the Zenith ship left behind by Lan Ting Godmaster. It adds up to 5 cosmos crystals. Qi Datong reported the price without hesitation. He was in this line of work, so he was very clear. Lan Ting Godmaster's ship has been modified. There are many parts that can be taken apart, so it can sell for a bit more. However, I don't think many people in Yun Xian Cosmic Nation would dare to buy it. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. True, who would dare to buy Lan Ting Godmaster's ship? Wouldn't that be courting death? I'll help you deal with these 2 ships. Give me 5 cosmos crystals to clear the maintenance fee. Qi Datong said to Lin Feng, one matter at a time, follow the company's procedures. Okay, Lin Feng replied. However, I don't have many cosmos crystals here. Senior Qi, take a look and see if there's anything you can use to cover the cost. After which, he handed over the West Eel Mercenary Group's belongings to Qi Datong. He had let his AI estimate that the miscellaneous items on the West Eel Mercenary Group, including the scattered cosmos crystals, were worth about 5 cosmos crystals. It should be enough to cover the maintenance fee. Qi Datong quickly calculated. All the items here add up to about 5 cosmos crystals. When we reach Yun Xian Cosmic Nation, I don't think you'll have time to exchange them. Give them all to me. After deducting the maintenance fee, there's still 3 cosmos crystals left. Take them. Qi Datong took out 3 perfect cosmos crystals, which contained incomparably pure cosmos energy. Many thanks, Senior Qi. Lin Feng kept them. He knew that the treasures of the West Eel Mercenary Group were definitely worth less than 5 cosmos crystals. Including the 2 ships, they probably wouldn't even be worth 5 cosmos crystals. It was very likely that Senior Qi had given them to him. A rose given to others would leave a lingering fragrance in the hand. Lin Feng didn't refuse. Since Senior Chi had already taken him out, he wouldn't take them back. Some good intentions should be accepted, as long as he remembered them. In the future, if he had the ability, he would repay this favor 100 times over. The one who truly saved his life wasn't Wu Sanjian, but Senior Chi. So, the Steelbone Universe Ship Company's ship was extremely fast. It only took them 26 years to arrive, so naturally it would only take them 26 years to return. Compared to the West Eel, the Zenith ship was much slower. The ship docked. The interstellar personnel saw the Steelbone logo and respectfully stood on both sides to welcome them. This is Yun Xin Cosmic Nation's Emperor Star System. Chi Datong said slowly, "We're going to the 7th Mercenary Alliance's base." The 7th Mercenary Alliance? Lin Feng followed Chi Datong and stepped out of the ship. Chi Datong nodded. The 7th Mercenary Alliance's footprints are all over the Peak Star World. They have a base in every universe country. Lin Feng didn't quite understand. According to the West Eel's information, it only vaguely mentioned the Mercenary Alliance, but it didn't go into detail. He originally thought it was just a loose alliance, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. How many mercenary alliances are there in the Peak Star World? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Of course there's only one, Chi Datong said. One? Lin Feng was surprised. I thought there was a first mercenary alliance, a second mercenary alliance, and so on. Chi Datong laughed involuntarily. No, its name is like that, although I don't know why it's called that. However, the 7th Mercenary Alliance's power in the Peak Star World is even greater than our Steelbone Universe Company. Oh, this was the first time Lin Feng heard of this. But Senior Chi, shouldn't I be participating in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge now? Why are we at the 7th Mercenary Alliance's base? Lin Feng didn't understand. Chapter 2302. It's nothing. I'm just familiar with this place. Chi Datong walked in front with a 5-star mercenary badge on his chest. He would be at the top of the pyramid in Yun Xin Universe. Lin Feng followed beside him. The mercenaries in the base all stepped back when they saw Chi Datong. Not only because he was a 5-star mercenary, but also because he was a member of the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company. His strength and status were all outstanding. Although I joined the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company as a normal maintenance worker, I don't want to be a maintenance master, spaceship maker, or spaceship technology researcher. Chi Datong looked around. His fiery red hair was filled with fighting spirit. He was very determined. I also want to be a combat member, join the army, the military, or even the general department. If you want to become strong, talent and resources alone are not enough. Connections, opportunities, and tempering are all indispensable. Joining the 7th Mercenary Alliance and becoming a mercenary is the best choice, because it is a loose alliance. There are no requirements for warriors. It doesn't matter if you are an evil person or a member of a certain power. The Mercenary Association only has mercenaries of various stars. They accept and carry out missions, solo missions, group missions, and all sorts of missions. Not only can you make a lot of friends there, you can also receive all sorts of missions to temper yourself. If you're lucky, you can even obtain extraordinary opportunities. Lin Feng listened carefully. He could hear that Senior Chi had a lot of respect for the Mercenary Alliance. And it was true. Joining the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company would give Senior Chi a good platform. But the problem was that Senior Chi was a non-combat member. He joined as a maintenance worker. The resources he received were much lesser, so it would be harder for him to increase his strength. He was all alone, in a situation where he didn't know anything. Becoming a mercenary was undoubtedly the best choice. Just like what Senior Chi said, he could come in contact with all kinds of strong warriors in the Xingfeng astral world. Through missions, he could quickly understand the Xingfeng astral world's information and various powers. Seems like I made the right choice to join the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. Lin Feng thought. Even if he didn't join the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, he would still become a mercenary. Starting from 1 star to train himself, just the missions alone would take a lot of time. But now he only needed to participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, and he would be able to get there in one go. The Time Virtual Company and the 7th Mercenary Alliance have their own bases in Yun Xin Cosmic Nation. It's not difficult to find them. Chidatong said, the Time Void Boundary Survival Challenge is jointly organized by these two giants, so if you want to participate, you can go directly to their encampments. There is a teleportation portal to the star boundary of the Lin Tong Peak. You can reach there directly. Lin Feng suddenly understood. Free? It's not free either. Based on one's strength, it costs about 1 to 10 cosmos crystals. Every year, everyone fights over the quota. Chidatong said, if you want to teleport to the Xingfeng Star Realm normally, it costs 100 cosmos crystals. So expensive. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. 100 cosmos crystals could purchase the most ordinary elementary, heavenly, Tao, true treasure. It can't be helped. Monopoly. Chidatong said, the entire Xingfeng Astral Realm space transmission is controlled by the big shot space 30,000 worlds. They set the price however they want. If you don't want to use it, you can go to the wormhole and slowly enjoy your space travel. Even if I don't get lost, I probably won't be able to reach the Xingfeng Astral Realm in my lifetime. Lin Feng said. Chidatong nodded. So even if the strong warriors of the various universe countries want to enter the Xingfeng Astral Realm, they are powerless. No matter how hard they try, they can't avoid the 5 giants. 5 giants? Lin Feng was curious. Are they more powerful than the Steelbone Universe Ship Company? Chidatong said, once you enter the Xingfeng Astral Realm, you will know that the Steelbone Universe Ship Company does have some power in the various universe countries. Treasure's Palace and Weapon Sky Manor are the same. However, they can only be considered big powers in the Astral Realm, not giants. In the Xingfeng Astral Realm, there are only 5 that can be called giants. Lin Feng murmured, Space 30,000 Worlds, Time Virtual Company, Murdering God Tower. Chidatong nodded. There's also the Universe Bank and the 7th Mercenary Alliance. They were unknown within the various universe countries, yet they were all imperceptibly influencing everything without making a sound. For example, the Universe Bank, all the banks in the universe countries are under their jurisdiction. In terms of wealth, they're the wealthiest in the Xingfeng Astral Realm. Lin Feng understood. It's equivalent to a head office. Chidatong said, for example, the 7th Mercenary Alliance, all the mercenary alliances in the universe countries are under their jurisdiction. The Space 30,000 Worlds teleportation pathways are spread throughout every universe country. The Time Virtual Company's various virtual equipment has been used by every strong warrior. The Murdering God Tower is hidden underground, so very few people know about it. The 5 giants are all huge existences in the Xingfeng Astral Realm. If you can join one of them, then that's a huge opportunity. We're here. Lin Feng was thinking about Chidatong's words when he suddenly stopped. Unknowingly, they had already arrived in front of a heavily guarded base. The workers stood in neat rows, not a single hair out of place. Their uniforms reflected the same logo. Space 30,000 Worlds? Lin Feng was surprised. No, they aren't. Chidatong glanced at Lin Feng. These are just the external workers, including the manager here. They aren't real members of the Space 30,000 Worlds. Just like our company's battle personnel, before they enter the military department, they are only candidates. Only after passing a strict test through life and death situations can they enter the military department. Only then can they be considered real members of the company. Lin Feng was enlightened. Manager He, Master Chi. Chidatong walked toward a well-dressed, middle-aged man. The two were obviously old acquaintances. They shook hands and smiled like old friends reuniting. After chatting for a while, Manager He looked over and sized up Lin Feng. He nodded lightly. According to the rules, joining the Time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge requires a strength test. However, since you're recommended by Master Chi, you don't have to go through that. Manager He smiled. Although the quota for this 100 years is already full, it doesn't matter. Follow me. Lin Feng looked at Chidatong. Chidatong nodded. Go ahead. Manager He will arrange it for you. Okay. Lin Feng smiled gratefully. I will never forget the kindness of saving my life. Wait for my return, Senior Chi. Chi Datong revealed a rare smile. Okay, be careful. After waving goodbye, Lin Feng followed Manager He into the base. There were still many good people in this world. Even if they met by chance, they would still help you, just like Senior Chi. Lin Feng was deeply grateful to Senior Chi. Chapter 2303. The survival challenge of the time virtual domain to the warriors of the Xing Feng Star World was indeed a huge challenge. However, to the elites of the universe countries, it was more of a convenient way to enter the Xing Feng Star World. As long as they could get a slot, even the most expensive one would only require 10 universe crystals, compared to the huge 100 universe crystals required for the space teleportation channel. It was just a drop in the ocean. Not to mention some super elites that only required 1 universe crystal. The final price depends on the person, but it's not up to me. It's up to the time virtual domain company's AI to decide. Manager He said, generally speaking, the stronger you are, the more levels you can skip, and the younger you are, the less universe crystals you require. Normally, this is also considered the first AI test. The warriors that require less universe crystals usually have higher potential and a higher chance of passing. Lin Feng nodded, understood. The slots are simple. Old Chi has already spoken to me. Every year, during the first AI test, half of the warriors that require the most universe crystals will be eliminated. Of course, I know which half will be eliminated. Manager He smiled. Thank you, Manager He, for your help. Lin Feng thanked him. It's nothing. I don't have any relationship with old Chi. Manager He said, however, friendship is friendship. You have to be responsible for the universe crystals. 1 to 10 universe crystals? Lin Feng said. Manager He nodded. Did you bring enough? I only have 3 universe crystals on me. However, with other treasures, it should be enough. Lin Feng said. Sure, if you don't have enough, find me. Manager He was very generous. All right. Lin Feng smiled at Manager He. After leaving the Milky Way super black hole, his luck was actually quite good. Even though there were dangers, he met quite a few people. Elder Chi was needless to say. Manager He was quite a nice person. And Wu Sanjian. Actually, he's not bad either. Lin Feng thought lightly. Outside the Mercenary Alliance base, on a universe ship, Chi Datong and Wu Sanjian were talking face-to-face in a virtual fluorescent space through the virtual communication system. Settled? Wu Sanjian said. Chi Datong nodded and smiled. I didn't expect Lord Wu to care so much about a little punk. Aren't you the same? Wu Sanjian asked. I have always followed my heart, Chi Datong said. This little guy is to my liking. We are fated to be together. If I can help him, I will help him. However, I've heard that you're very methodical in your work. It seems that there's more to it than meets the eye. Wu Sanjian said, you follow your heart, and I follow my interests. Simply put, it's actually a good investment. Chi Datong suddenly understood. So, sir, you think highly of this little guy's potential. Wu Sanjian said, his willpower is firm, and he doesn't panic in the face of danger. His talent is top-notch. He's merely at the peak of the deity stage, yet he managed to kill a higher heavenly deity, contend against a lower divine master, and even made a breakthrough in battle. He's definitely an unpolished gem. Chi Datong smiled and said, most importantly, he has a pure character and knows how to repay kindness. Wu Sanjian rolled his eyes at Chi Datong. Nonsense, would you help an ingrate? Chi Datong said, the little guy is still in the dark. It's just that participating in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge is beneficial to him. It's not only a trial, but also a very good opportunity. Whether or not he succeeds depends on himself. Wu Sanjian said, talents will always emerge. Although the chances aren't high, if there really comes a day when he can transform into a butterfly and become a fish that leaps over the Dragon Gate, I hope he'll remember my kindness. He will. Chi Datong was also looking forward to it. Yunxin Cosmic Nation, Mercenary Alliance's encampment. There's still about 3 months before this year's Smart Review. Stay here for a while. Director He brought Lin Feng to a secluded valley. There are 2 other strong warriors here. I'll bring you there when the time comes. Okay. Lin Feng scanned the surroundings. There was a small bridge over flowing water, and birds were chirping and flowers were fragrant. It wasn't a good environment for cultivation, but it was a good living environment. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. There was nothing to be picky about. Don't worry. The smart review is just a process. The final selection is in my hands. Director, he patted Lin Feng's shoulder and smiled. The worst result of the review is 10 cosmos crystals. I won't be the one accepting it, so just be prepared. I'll pick you up later. Okay. Lin Feng watched as director he left. He scanned the area with his aura. Just as director, he said, there were 2 other strong warriors living here. They were probably like Senior Chi and had asked director he to cut the queue through the back door. Normally, the Mercenary Alliance only had 5,000 slots every year. It was quite tight. According to director he, the quota for the past 100 years had been filled. How many strong warriors were there in the Yun Xian Universe Nation? It was hard to estimate. Even if one only counted the Heaven God warriors, it would be an astronomical figure. After all, to a universe nation, normal heaven gods were as numerous as the hairs on a cow. Only peak heaven gods could be considered strong. As for master god warriors, they stood at the peak of the Yun Xian Universe Nation. Let's go and say hello. When Lin Feng sensed the 2 strong warriors, he was also sensed at the same time. After all, he was just scanning the area with his aura. In the mountain forest manor, a man and a woman, 2 young strong warriors, were sparring. The man was dressed in golden armor and held a sharp sword in his hand. A bloodline mark could be seen clearly on his forehead. One look, and one could tell that he was from a wealthy family. His handsome face was arrogant. He would say from time to time, "Faster with your sword. This move is starting to look good. You've improved. You don't have enough strength. Your footsteps are too messy." The handsome man was guiding a delicate and cute young girl. She looked very young, but she had already grown into a graceful and elegant girl. One look, and one could tell that she was a beauty. Her treasured sword and battle armor were also heavenly Tao treasures. Her background was not poor. In terms of strength, the handsome man was a peak heaven god. The cute girl was only a middle heaven god. "Hello." Lin Feng smiled and greeted them. "My name is Lin Feng." Clang! Their swords clashed, and the 2 separated. The handsome man held his sword with his hands behind his back. There was a hint of arrogance between his eyebrows. Another one. "Hello, I'm Man Air, Ing Man Air." The cute girl, Ing Man Air, bounced to Lin Feng's side and smiled sweetly. "He is Brother Yu Sunday. Brother Yu Sun is very powerful. His father is a divine master." "Oh." Lin Feng nodded. No wonder he was so arrogant. He had a powerful background. There were only a few divine master in the entire Yun Xian cosmic nation. One could count them with 2 hands. However, no matter how powerful his background was, it had nothing to do with Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. He didn't pay any more attention to him. There was no point in trying to flatter him. "Brother Lin Feng, your strength is similar to mine. Maybe we can enter the emptiness realm at the same time," Ing Man Air said excitedly. She was very happy. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Ing Man Air was the same as him. They were both middle heaven god life forms. Chapter 2304. That's not necessarily true. Yu Sun's gaze swept past Lin Feng, carrying a trace of faint contempt. The Time Virtual Company's AI can clearly distinguish the true strength range of every martial artist. A mid-heavenly god might not necessarily be the second time virtual realm. It could also be the first time virtual realm. Ing Man gently covered her mouth, her big eyes filled with surprise. Yu Sun smiled faintly. "Don't worry, Man with your strength, entering the second time virtual realm won't be a problem." Lin Feng smiled knowingly. There were a total of 7-time virtual realm participating in the challenge, which were suitable for lower heavenly god, mid-heavenly god, upper heavenly god, peak heavenly god, lower heavenly god, mid-heavenly god, and upper heavenly god. The second-time virtual realm meant that one's combat strength was assessed as mid-heavenly god. As for peak heavenly god experts, they didn't need to be tested at all because even in Xing Feng's star boundary, peak heavenly god experts were the top talents that the big forces would fight over. "Brother Lin Feng, Which sect do you belong to? Ingman asked. True Dragon Sovereign. Lin Feng replied. Ingman looked at you, son, who sneered. Never heard of it. It must be a small sect. Ingman pursed her red lips and said softly to Lin Feng, Brother Lin Feng, go and ask Brother Yu Sunday if he is willing to help you. Even if it's only for 3 months, your strength will increase a lot. Yu Sun sneered, his hands clasped behind his back and his head held high. No need. I will be fine after meditating for a while. Thank you. Lin Feng smiled and said to Ingman. Yu Sun snorted and looked into the distance. Don't waste your breath. Man, he and I are not related to each other. Why should I help him? Besides, if a middle heavenly god can enter the first emptiness realm of time, he is actually lucky. All right, Ingman clapped her hands and reacted. Then you will only be competing with lower heavenly god. Brother Yu, can I also enter the first-time virtual realm? Can I preserve my strength during the test? You're thinking too much. That's the artificial intelligence of the time virtual company. No matter how deeply you hide, it will know. Yu Sun said, instead of playing petty tricks, why don't you seize the time and continue cultivating? Come, big brother, you will accompany you. Yeah. Ingman nodded and stuck out her tongue at Lin Feng. Then Man is going to cultivate. Brother Lin Feng, you can find a place to cultivate. Anywhere is fine. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. His gaze landed on the 2 treasured swords clashing. He then turned around and left. Peak of the heavenly deity realm? Lin Feng smiled indifferently. Far inferior to Senior Qi. Although Senior Qi was not a combatant, he was still from the Steelbone Spaceship Company. Although Yu Sun was from a prestigious family, Yin Xin Cosmic Nation was still a far cry from the Steelbone Spaceship Company. His body is ordinary, and his sword art is ordinary. He only relies on excellent sword moves and heavenly Tao cardinal treasures. Lin Feng did not take Yu Sun seriously. With his current strength, killing a peak heavenly god like Yu Sun was a piece of cake. Cultivation was extremely precious to Lin Feng right now. He had just made a breakthrough in his life, rating, and many things needed to be stabilized and improved, especially the second heaven of light and darkness. This was not only related to his life rating, but also to his combat power. He had just made a breakthrough and already had the strength of a peak heavenly god. Coupled with the improvement of his physical body and the sublimation of the black vortex, his life rating had reached that of a middle-level heavenly god. Lin Feng's current combat power was increasing rapidly as his strength stabilized. In 3 months, I should be close to or even reach the combat power of a low-level heavenly god. Even if I'm not as good as God Lord Lan Ting, I won't be too far off. Lin Feng had a clear understanding of his own strength. He had fought with God Lord Lan Ting and knew that as his realm and life rating stabilized, he was confident that he could reach the combat power of a low-level heavenly god, even if it was only for 3 months. After all, this did not require too much sublimation of his realm. According to the 10,000 heaven path, comprehending the second heaven of light and darkness is equivalent to a level 6 heavenly Tao space secret technique and has the strength of a peak heavenly god. I can surpass it in all aspects, and the second heaven of light and darkness can still be improved. The more I improve, the better. The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge requires sufficient combat power to survive and fight for it. It's not just the lowest standard. Lin Feng was looking forward to it. He had no fear, no matter how high the mortality rate was. The lowest standard was a survival rate of 10%. A single universe country had more than 10,000 experts. Could it be that he could not even squeeze into the top 1,000? Lin Feng was still confident in this point. However, compared to the underground king slaughtering Godfield, it was very difficult to hide one's strength. This was because before entering the Time Void Realm, the AI would test the range of one's strength. What kind of strength was what kind of Time Void Realm one would enter. 3 months quickly passed. During this time, Yu Sun did not come even once. However, Ingman would occasionally come to Lin Feng. Lin Feng had a good impression of this simple-minded girl and became friends with her. To Ingman, Lin Feng was much closer than Yu Sunday. Perhaps it was because of their similar age and strength. They were more familiar with each other. However, this made Yu Sun somewhat unhappy. It's almost here. Ingman was somewhat anxious and nervous. She stuck her head out and looked outside from time to time. It's just a routine test. Yu Sun raised the corner of his mouth. He put his hands behind his back and said arrogantly, "Only those who got the ordinary quota would worry about being filtered out due to poor results. We have Director He's recommendation, so we don't need to worry. But if the results are not good, it will still be very embarrassing." Ingman blushed. She was afraid that the AI would judge that 10 cosmos crystals appeared. Even if it had nothing to do with the quota, it would still be very embarrassing in front of everyone. Yu Sun smiled faintly. "Don't worry, man. With me helping you to improve your sword technique, you have made great progress in this half a year. You are already considered one of the best among the intermediate heavenly gods. The AI test won't be too bad, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I will still be able to advance and enter the time void realm. Right, Lin Feng?" Lin Feng smiled, right? Yu Sun curled his lips. Lin Feng didn't have any reaction when he ridiculed him like this. He originally wanted to use his peak heavenly god power to suppress Lin Feng and show off, but he ended up asking for a snub. Suddenly, Yu Sun's eyes brightened. He said hastily, "Director, he is here." Ingman beautiful eyes immediately brightened. She clenched her fists tightly and looked forward to it. Hua! Two figures quickly appeared in front of them. One of them was none other than Managery. Beside him was a young man with short hair and a scar on his face. He had icy blue hair and a cold face. His face was filled with killing intent, and he looked like a terrifying iceberg. His life force was strong and not inferior to Yu Sun's. However, his killing intent and aura completely overshadowed Yu Sun's. "Everyone is here. Let's go." Director He smiled. Chapter 2305. Yunshin Universe Nation, Mercenary Alliance's Encampment. On the huge square, 10,000 strong people of varying abilities gathered together and waited patiently. Every year, the Mercenary Alliance and Time Virtual Company each had 5,000 slots. In total, 10,000 strong people would head to Xingfeng Astral World to participate in the Time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge. They were all elite strong people with great backgrounds. They were the cream of the crop in Yunshin Universe Nation. Swish! The light door at the entrance flashed, and all the strong people focused on it. Director He walked at the front with Lin Feng and the other three behind him. Facing the gazes of 10,000 strong people, Yu Sun raised his head proudly with his hands behind his back. He was arrogant, as if he looked down on everyone. On the other hand, Ingman's face was red and her body was tight. She was shy and nervous. She clenched her fists and her palms were sweating. Lin Feng was calm. He glanced at the short-haired young man with a scar. He had ice blue hair and cold but sharp eyes. He was constantly emitting a terrifying, murderous aura. He definitely had a powerful background. Just like Yu Sun, he was also a peak heavenly god expert, but he was much younger. Swish! The short-haired young man stared at Lin Feng like a wolf king full of murderous intent. "Hello, I'm Lin Feng," Lin Feng introduced with a smile. The short-haired young man frowned. His scar trembled. He opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. He didn't seem to be good at communicating. He turned his head and looked away. "He's Wu Mo. He doesn't like to talk." Director He's voice came from the front. Lin Feng nodded. "You guys stay here. I'll announce your names when the test starts. Just come up and complete the test. You don't have to care about the results," Director He said. As a director, he had this little power. Lin Feng and the other three answered. They found a place near the front and waited for the Time Virtual Company's test to start. There are quite a lot of people. Lin Feng looked around. Most of them were middle and upper-level heaven gods. There weren't many lower-level heaven gods, and even fewer pinnacle heaven gods. There weren't any god masters. Every year, there will be 10,000. 5,000 will be selected, and half will be eliminated. Crossing his arms, Yu Sun said proudly, "Most of them came here through the competitions of various star zones. Some of them bought places directly, but the price was quite high. Are we sure we can pass, brother Yu?" Man asked nervously. Yu Sun smiled confidently. That goes without saying. We're different from them. They're fighting for half the chance. No, to be precise, they're fighting for 4,996 spots. Us? Haha, it's just a formality. Man heaved a sigh of relief and patted her chest. Wumo's expression was still cold, as if nothing had anything to do with him. Lin Feng didn't care. His goal was to pass the Time Void Realm survival challenge. If he couldn't even get half of this chance, what was the point of participating? Who are they? Manager He brought him in personally. He's definitely not simple. You don't know? The 4 of them are internally selected. They're warriors who will definitely pass the test. Don't be so surprised. This is normal. There are many internally selected warriors among us who have a 100% chance of passing. It's just that the 4 of them cut the queue and have stronger backgrounds. It's not fair. Everyone came in with a spot. Why are they sure they'll pass the test? Childish. There's no such thing as fairness in this world. Everyone is born differently and has different bloodline talents. The heavens are unfair. If you have the ability, go and reincarnate into a better body. Don't talk nonsense here. Don't be discouraged. If you have real talent, the AI shows that the cost is less than 5 cosmos crystals. You'll be able to pass directly. Every year, these warriors make up 20 to 30% of the total. If it's more than 5 cosmos crystals, it'll depend on your luck. Good luck. Everyone was whispering. These 10,000 warriors were all dragons and phoenixes among men. They were the elites of the elites in the Yun Xian universe nation. They either had strong backgrounds or great potentials. They stood out from the competition. This wasn't the first time the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge was held. Some things were already transparent. If the water was too clear, there would be no fish. Everyone knew this clearly. Looking at Lin Feng and the other 3, other than envy and jealousy, what else could they feel? Who asked them to not have a strong background? Following the arrival of General Manager He, who presided over the situation, the many workers of the Mercenary Alliance were quickly prepared. General Manager, he took out the AI machine he borrowed from the Time Virtual Company. Instantly, the gazes of the warriors gathered. An uproar. This was the first time the 10,000 warriors saw the AI machine from the Time Virtual Company. Lin Feng was also curiously sizing it up. It was an oval-shaped light ball cabin made of transparent materials. It was incomparably huge, like a space capsule. Beams of light were mixed with strange engravings, causing the entire light ball cabin to emit a strange sense of beauty. Shwa! The light ball cabin opened. The number on the side jumped to 10, which represented 10 cosmos crystals. Those who hear the name, come up. Those with the green light, enter the space tunnel in front. Those with the yellow light, leave the candidates to be determined. Those with the red light, leave. General Manager, He's voice reverberated in the plaza. Lin Feng nodded. Previously, Manor had mentioned to him that the green light meant that one had to pay less than 5 cosmos crystals. The smaller the number, the higher the potential ability. Obtaining the Time Virtual Company's AI recognition, one would pass the first round of tests. Those with the yellow light meant that they had to pay between 5 to 10 cosmos crystals. Candidates to be determined. General Manager, he would personally choose the remaining spots. As for those with the red light, it meant that they didn't meet the basic requirements and would be eliminated. However, General Manager, he still had some privileges. The 4 of them wouldn't have the red light. Even if they didn't meet the requirements, they would only have the yellow light. The highest amount of cosmos crystals they had to pay was 10 cosmos crystals. General Manager, he was the first to shout. Hua! Her face flushed red. Nervously appeared in front of the light ball cabin and stepped in. Very quickly, beams of light flashed. In just a moment, the yellow light lit up. The display by the side showed a number. 8. The light ball cabin door opened. Walked out with a red face. The surroundings were filled with discussions. Even though 8 cosmos crystals wasn't considered high, it wasn't low either. After all, there were still 9 and 10 lower than it. The amount of cosmos crystals paid didn't have decimals. It was just a round number. 8 cosmos crystals wasn't considered bad. Amongst the 10,000 warriors waiting to be tested, it was in the middle to lower tier. Under normal circumstances, Ingman Er's chances of being selected wasn't high. However, since it was decided internally, there wouldn't be any problems. Next, Yu Sunday, general manager, his voice sounded. Watch me. Yu Sun raised his head and smiled confidently at Ingman Er. His figure flashed and entered the light ball cabin door. The surroundings were filled with discussions. Very quickly, the yellow light lit up again. The display showed different numbers. Chapter 2306. Ingman Er covered her mouth as her eyes were filled with surprise. The number 10 was clearly displayed on the display screen. It was very eye-catching, and the surrounding people sneered. They all knew that the people in front of them were all martial artists who had secretly decided to pass the test. They all had very strong backgrounds. However, as to how strong they were, that was a matter of opinion. So it's like that. Haha, they're so lame. They actually paid the highest amount. Not necessarily. It's possible that they didn't pass because they have special privileges. Sigh, it's good to have a strong backing. You can buy your way in. What's the use of that? This is the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. Buy your way in? Hee. The elites from the various universe countries will teach you a lesson. Idiot, you don't have any strength at all. How dare you participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge? What a disgrace. The crowd burst into laughter. Everyone was already feeling indignant because of the internal selection. Now that they saw Yu Sun's weak strength, they couldn't help but ridicule him to vent their anger. The laughter continued. Yu Sun's face was pale as he returned without saying a word. His proud head was as heavy as 1,000 pounds, and he couldn't lift it up. Reality was often cruel. The AI is very strict. Lin Feng judged in his heart. He knew Yu Sun's strength. Although his level wasn't high, he could barely reach the standard of a peak heaven god with a heavenly treasure. It can't be helped. He's a peak heaven god. Lin Feng smiled. Different from middle heavenly deity and upper heavenly deity, the difference in strength between heavenly deity, peak 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 heavenly Yu Sun was only an ordinary peak heaven god. In Yin Xin Cosmic Nation, they might be considered outstanding, but in a group of cosmic nations, they were nothing. Compared to the peak heavenly god powerhouses in Xingfeng Astral, they were not even worth mentioning. What are you laughing at? Yu Sun was already burning with anger, and when he saw Lin Feng's faint smile, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. I don't know. They were all laughing, so I laughed too. Lin Feng smiled. Others might be afraid of Yu Sun, but he didn't care at all. Although Yu Sun's strength was 2 levels higher than his, if they really fought, in 3 moves, he would definitely take his life. Yu Sun was so angry that his face turned pale and his body trembled. His words were directly blocked. Could it be that he had to care about everyone who laughed? Don't be angry, brother Yu. The intelligence test might not be accurate. Ingman said softly. It doesn't know how strong Brother Yu is. When it enters the Time Void Realm, Brother Yu will be able to show off your power. That's right. How can machines be accurate? When the time comes, I'll show them my true strength. Yu Sun's handsome face was filled with fighting spirit, and his aura was vigorous. You overestimate yourself. An ice-cold voice sounded. It came from a scarred young man with icy blue hair. As chief steward, his voice sounded. Wu Mo's figure flashed and stepped into the light ball cabin. Yu Sun was so angry that his face turned red. He gritted his teeth and said, "This bastard, Pa." Yu Sun's expression instantly froze. The surrounding warriors who were whispering and laughing suddenly stopped. They were all shocked. 3. Lin Feng looked at the number on the screen. It clearly showed the number 3. In front of the number 3, there was a vague number 2. It was not real, but an illusion. Upper and lower range. Lin Feng knew. This was the upper and lower range of strength given by the intelligence. The stronger a warrior was, the harder it was for the intelligence to accurately judge. After all, Strength was related to many aspects and not the creation of treasures. 1 was 1, 2 was 2. Paying a fee of 5 cosmos crystals, one can be considered an exceptional talent within the universe country, an outstanding warrior. 3 universe crystals means that he is one level above his own level. In other words, Wu Mo has the fighting power of a lower-level godmaster. Lin Feng was not surprised. The first time he saw Wu Mo, he knew that he was not simple. That bone-chilling killing intent. One look, and he knew that he had gone through endless terrifying training. Willpower, fighting power, and other aspects, he was definitely the top in the Yun Exine universe country. Who is he? So powerful. Did you see that? There was an illusion of a number 2 just now. So powerful. I heard from my master that out of the 10,000 people who take the test every year, 5 universe crystals is considered outstanding. Only 20 to 30% of them are outstanding, but most of them are 4 or 5 universe crystals. There are only 2 or 3 who are 3 universe crystals. Seems like they're not all trash. This scarred-faced young man is so powerful. He is much stronger than the luxuriously dressed, rich second generation. There were sounds of shock and admiration. 3 universe crystals, there was no need to doubt the strength. Everyone present was an elite warrior of the Yun Exine universe country. They were all dragons and phoenixes among men. Of course, they looked down on those who only had a background but no strength. At the same time, they admired those who were stronger than them. However, when these scattered words landed in Yu Sun's ears, they were extremely harsh and made him lose face, especially when Wu Mo was of the same level as him. Peak heavenly god. Thinking about what Wu Mo said just now, he felt even more ashamed, overestimating himself. Wah, Wu Mo, you are so powerful. Is it brother you? Ing Man, was pure and innocent. She naturally did not see Yu Sun's ugly expression. Her beautiful eyes flashed with admiration. Yes. Although Yu Sun was stubborn, he had to admit it. After all, he was not stupid. He clearly knew that Wu Mo's strength was far above his. Facing a stronger warrior, he would be mentally inferior. It's your turn next, Brother Lin Feng. Ing Man smiled and clenched her fist. Do your best. You must be as powerful as Brother Wu Mo him? Impossible. Yu Sun saw Ing Man's expression and felt even more upset. He sneered. Even if he paid 5 universe crystals, it is because he is a middle heavenly god. His strength requirement is low. Ing Man, smiled and looked at Yu Sunday. She stuck out her tongue. Brother Lin Feng is definitely not as powerful as Brother Wu Mo and Brother Yu. You are both peak heavenly gods. You are very powerful. Yu Sun heard this and raised his head slightly. He felt much better. However, he is still young. If he starts to cultivate diligently now, after a few hundred eras, he might be as powerful as me. Yu Sun nodded and muttered. However, by that time, I should have broken through to become a godmaster. Idiot. Wu Mo's cold voice sounded again. At this moment, Lin Feng had already stepped into the light ball cabin. The green light lit up, and numbers appeared on the screen outside. The plaza fell into a dead silence. Dumbfounded. Chapter 2307. 0. On the display screen, a huge 0 appeared, shocking everyone. Not only were the experts in the plaza stunned, even Chief Steward, he was dumbfounded and confused. He had been the overseer for many years. Year after year, experts were selected from this place. There were many like Wu Mo, and even the lowest payment of 1 universe crystal, he had seen it once. Hence, even though Wu Mo's test results made him happy, it was far from being shocking. However, Lin Feng's test results made him dumbfounded. What was with the 0? There was no need to pay universe crystals? But the problem was, weren't the results of the intelligence test 1 to 10 universe crystals? On the plaza, the warriors were discussing fervently. The machine is broken. It should be. Where's the number 0? Right? There must be a mistake. There must be a mistake in the test just now. How can it be a payment of 0? Impossible. 3 universe crystals is already an outstanding warrior in Xing Feng Star World. Every universe country only gets 2 or 3 every year. Everyone was suspicious. In truth, even they didn't know if it was right or wrong. I've said it before, it must be a problem with the machine. Yu-sun raised his head and let out a sigh of relief. The first round of tests. Only 1 to 10 universe crystals. How can there be in 0? Ingman pursed her lips and asked curiously. Then what if it's a warrior who is stronger than 1 universe crystal? This. Yu-sun was speechless. See for yourself. Wu-mo said coldly, his gaze sharp. On the display screen, other than the huge row, there was a faint image of a 1 on the right. It was very faint, but if one looked carefully, they could see it, just like the image of the 1 during Wu-mo's test. This represented the upper and lower range of strength. 0 to 1. Manager, he saw it too, his stern face revealing incomparable shock. His heart was in turmoil. He didn't expect that this youth Cheetah Tong gave him had such shocking potential. 3 universe crystals, it means a strength that surpasses 1 level. 1 universe crystal, it means a strength that surpasses 2 levels. 0 universe crystals, in other words, it means a strength that surpasses 2 levels. Manager, he was after all experienced, he quickly deduced. Looking at Lin Feng walking out of the light ball cabin, it was as if they were looking at a rising star, their hearts burning. If such a talent could survive the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, he would definitely become the pride of Yin Xian Cosmic Nation. Manager, he naturally didn't know that Wu Sanjian had long known about Lin Feng's potential. Otherwise, he wouldn't have nurtured him. 0 to 1 Cosmos Crystal. It can't be. There's such a thing? It's the upper and lower ranges. Heavens, is the upper limit of his strength so high? Inconceivable. I've lived for a long time. There are so many monsters this year. I thought the machines were broken, but it turns out that they've gone berserk. Oh my God, these predetermined experts are all so terrifying. The crowd was not blind. With the appearance of Shadow One, all his doubts were cleared. Yu-sun's face flushed red. Everything he had just said was a slap to his face. The surrounding crowd's praises for Lin Feng and their affirmation of him being a predetermined expert made him feel even more ashamed. They were both numbers 0 and 1, but the difference between them was like heaven and earth. If there was a crack in the ground, Yu-sun couldn't wait to crawl into it. He looked down and couldn't focus, his expression extremely ugly. You're so powerful, big brother Lin Feng. Ingman ran over like a little rabbit. Her sparkling and translucent eyes were filled with admiration, as if they were twinkling stars. Different from Wu-mo, Ingman and Lin Feng were already familiar with each other, and they were both middle heavenly gods. Now that Lin Feng had achieved such a shocking result, Ingman heart was greatly moved, and her heart was beating wildly. It's luck. Lin Feng smiled modestly. In the distance, there was a pair of eyes filled with killing intent, like that of a wolf king, watching him. Wu-mo, I will defeat you. A cold voice sounded. Wu-mo brushed past him and walked towards the space tunnel in front of him. Experts who passed the green light would be able to enter directly. The reason why he didn't leave just now was that Wu-mo wanted to know how Lin Feng's test results were. As an assassin, he had already felt the threat from Lin Feng the first time they met. Now that he had seen it, his intuition was indeed not wrong. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. Looking at Wu-mo's back, he didn't say anything. He wasn't in a hurry to enter the space tunnel. After all, he still had to wait. He might as well stay and see if there were any other experts in Yin Xian Cosmic Nation. Perhaps he would meet them in the virtual realm of time of the top-notch artificial intelligence. Everyone around him looked at him strangely. There were envy, reverence, and all kinds of gazes. Lin Feng didn't care. He had seen such situations many times, and he was already used to it. He chatted with the excited Ingman, and watched the 10,000 experts from Yin Xian Cosmic Nation compete for the 5,000 spots. He was in a leisurely mood. The test was carried out in an orderly manner, with Lin Feng's results being a gem in front. The results of the experts behind him were naturally not enough. Originally, 4 or 5 Cosmos crystals were already considered not bad, enough to cause a round of cheers. But this year it was a pitiful, pitiful result, and no one cared. This was because they couldn't be compared to Lin Feng's results. including the two experts who had the same results as Wu Mo with 3 universe crystals. They only attracted a little attention. One of them was a middle-level heavenly god, and the other was an upper-level heavenly god. In terms of quality, they couldn't be compared to Wu Mo. I'll go first. See you then. As the dust of the test settled, Lin Feng said goodbye to Ing Man, and walked towards the space tunnel. As for Yu Sun, he didn't need to care about him. He wouldn't go to the extent of being snubbed. Not everyone could become friends with him. Yu Sun, who was behind her, had an awkward expression. Seeing Ing Man's reluctant gaze, he felt as if his heart was being pierced by needles. It's just 1 universe crystal. At most, I can enter the virtual realm of time. Oomph. Yu Sun snorted behind Ing Man. No matter how powerful a middle-level heavenly god is, he is still a middle-level heavenly god. At that time, I can enter the virtual realm of time. Ing Man turned her head and smiled sweetly at Yu Sunday. Big Brother Lin is so powerful, right, Big Brother Yu? Oh, maybe. Yu Sun turned his face away. Ing Man acted as if she didn't hear Yu Sun's words. She muttered to herself, he is so powerful, but he is not arrogant at all. He is amiable and approachable. Man, I likes him so much. Then she moaned and blushed. Her 2 fingers touched each other gently. I don't know what kind of girl he likes. Covering her burning face, Ing Man bit her lips gently, which was as mature as honey. I'm so embarrassed. Ing Man looked at Yu Sun and said, don't tell Big Brother Lin, Big Brother Yu. After saying that, she held her blushing face and ran away. Yu Sun, who was stunned, was left standing in the same place. His mouth was open as if he was petrified. Chapter 23:08. The 5,000 spots were decided. Half of them were given the green light, and the other half were carefully selected by Manager He. Some of them were selected internally. Some were close to 5 cosmos crystals, and some were other. After all, there were 7-time void realms. As the manager, he had to ensure that the number of people entering the first 4-time void realms was equal. Of course, the number of great beings entering the 4th-time void realm would be the least, as the difficulty was too high. As for the 5th, 6th, and 7th-time void realms, under normal circumstances, no great beings from Yunshin Universe Nation would be able to enter. He is Lin Feng. Amazing. He doesn't even need to pay 1 cosmos crystal to participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. Looking at him from a close distance, he looks even younger. He is only a middle-level heaven god with unlimited potential. Lin Feng was undoubtedly the center of attention. After all, he was the best in the first round. Among the 5,000 great beings, only 3 paid 3 cosmos crystals. None paid 1 cosmos crystal or 2 cosmos crystals. The gap was huge. Let me give you a brief introduction. We will go to the Time Virtual Company and meet up with their 5,000 great beings. Then, we will go through the space tunnel and head to Xing Feng Astral Sector. Manager He glanced around, and his gaze finally fell on Lin Feng. Initially, he thought Wu Mo would be the best, but now, it was undoubtedly Lin Feng. As he spoke, he couldn't help but look at Lin Feng. We still have to meet up? So the Time Virtual Company also has a quota. Of course, but I heard that they're all selected internally. It is very difficult to enter. This year, they definitely won't be as outstanding as us. Lin Feng here is too awesome. He paid 0 cosmos crystals. He is probably the best in Xing Feng Astral Sector. He blinded me. TSK, what's so great about him? He is only a middle-level heaven god. Some were envious, and some were jealous. Lin Feng naturally couldn't care less about other people's mouths. After listening to Manager He talk about the next itinerary, what followed was a long wait. The 7-time Void Realm Survival Challenge were all at the Time Virtual Company in Xing Feng Astral Sector. Hence, they had to go to the Time Virtual Company branch in Yunshin Universe Nation before teleporting. Brother Lin, many of them look at you with unkind eyes. Ing Man quietly shrank beside Lin Feng. She rolled her eyes and looked around. It's fine. Lin Feng smiled. Although the 5,000 experts on his side did not have any relationship with each other at the moment, when they entered the time void realm, they would fight for themselves. If they met again, they would probably be enemies who would fight to the death. The challenge of survival was no joke. Yes, Ingman nodded obediently, but the word worry was still written on her face. You be careful too, Lin Feng said to Man Air. The time virtual realm is quite fair. People with similar fighting power will be together, so you don't need to worry about encountering a strong opponent. Try to hide as much as possible and fight less. The probability of reaching the minimum standard is still relatively high. About 10% chance. It seemed low, but it wasn't. Because most warriors would fight each other when they entered the time void realm, the mortality rate was high. Generally speaking, if one reached the lowest standard, as long as they were careful, every warrior would have a chance. I will, Brother Lin. Ingman nodded heavily. They looked at each other and smiled. Lin Feng nodded lightly. They knew each other, so he naturally hoped that Ingman could come out alive. In fact, her strength was not bad. After all, she had 2 heavenly treasures. If she could make good use of them, it shouldn't be a big problem. As for himself, he definitely would not enter the time void realm at the same time as Ingman. Logically speaking, it should be the 4th void realm. Lin Feng calculated in his heart. With my strength, entering the 4th void realm, my experience might not be comparable to the old people who have already been inside, but my fighting power is comparable. Let's see what standard I can reach. The higher the better. The higher the standard, the greater the reward. 1,000 universe crystals was not a lot, but it was not a small amount either. At least it was not something that could be repaid with the basic standard. In the midst of the conversation, Manager He quickly completed the procedures and led the 5,000 elite experts from Yunshin Universe Country to the Emperor Galaxy Time virtual company's encampment. The journey was not far. They were all in the same galaxy. With the 7th Mercenary Alliance's spaceship, they arrived in a few days. Vast and mighty, densely packed. When the 5,000 experts saw the other 5,000 experts, their eyes were filled with hostility. Manager He, this way please. The person in charge of the Time Virtual Company was a smiling old man with a white beard. With one look, one could tell that he had experience and was much younger than Manager He. Master Hao is still as elegant as ever. Manager He smiled and replied, gesturing to the experts, after which the 10,000 experts formed a long line and entered the Time Virtual Company's exclusive space pathway. I heard that Manager He is a super newbie this time. Old Hao smiled and stroked his beard. You can say that. Manager He smiled casually. Actually, it's nothing much. It's just that I haven't been in this position for long. Hence, I'm a little ignorant. Master Hao, you definitely know more about this than me. The test's AI was from the Time Virtual Company. The results were naturally transparent. The 5,000 experts of the Time Virtual Company did not hide anything. The results were clearly visible. Similarly, there was a fighter who didn't have 1 universe crystal. However, there was a pinnacle sky god who paid 2 universe crystals. However, compared to Lin Feng, he paled in comparison. Old Hao stroked his beard and smiled. In the universe country, it's indeed rare to see a fighter with 0 universe crystals. After all, the training environment and conditions in the universe country are different from the star world. However, in the Xingfeng star world, there are many who have 0 universe crystals, and they don't even have any illusions. Speaking of which, 0 universe crystals isn't a secret. Old House said happily. Simply put, there are 3 possible combinations. Firstly, the bloodline is strong. The fighter has high potential, and it's hard to raise his strength. However, because of the tyrannical bloodline, his fighting strength will be higher than his current level. Secondly, the realm is high. These are true super geniuses. They far exceed their current level. Naturally, they can raise their fighting strength by 100 times, 1,000 times, or even 10,000 times. Thirdly, powerful treasures, especially those newcomers from the Xingfeng astral boundary. Each of them has more treasures than the last, and each one is stronger than the last. If a lower heavenly deity has a suitable heavenly law treasure, they can even kill divine master experts. I've learned. Manager he nodded. However, this usually only appears in the Xing Feng star world. Old House squinted his eyes and shot out a ray of light. Don't mention our Yun Xang universe country. Looking at the millions of other universe countries, there aren't many who have 0 universe crystals. He's called Lin Feng, right? Hee. Who knows? Maybe our Yun Xang universe country will have an incredible fighter. He, with his hands behind his back, Old House stroked his beard and was extremely happy. Chapter 2309. Look, guys, it's Lin Feng. That brat is Lin Feng. It can't be, he's so young. Right, it's him. A monster with 0 cosmos crystals. The 5,000-strong warriors selected by the Time Virtual Company all looked over. Lin Feng's score in the first round of intelligence test wasn't some secret information. It had long been spread among the geniuses of Yun Xine Universe Nation. Lin Feng received attention, causing the 5,000-strong warriors from the 7th Mercenary Alliance to feel proud. They all revealed proud expressions. Unknowingly, the 5,000-strong warriors from both sides were clearly divided, forming 2 factions. Lin Feng, just a middle heavenly god, he's nothing. A thick and loud voice resounded. A strong, bull-headed man walked out from the Time Virtual Company's side. He had brown skin, muscles like hills, eyes like copper bells, a bull nose, and 2 pure black bull horns. His body was much taller than normal human warriors. He was much stronger. What are you talking about? If you have the ability, you can get 0 cosmos crystals too. Just being jealous. Who doesn't know how to brag? Lin Feng sighed. Voices resounded. He wasn't willing to be outdone. The 2 factions of warriors didn't want to give in to each other. Brag? The bull-horned beast opened his eyes wide. His nostrils flared. I Nyoma am jealous? Brag? Bullsh asterisk T. I'm a pinnacle heavenly god. If I want to crush this little human, it'll be like crushing a biscuit. Saying that, the bull-horned beast Nyoma stretched out 2 fingers and rubbed them. The space exploded. The sound was like thunder. Brother Lin, he's the most outstanding Nyoma in the first round of the Time Virtual Company's test. Ingmanner whispered from the side. There are 10,000 strong warriors here. Only he paid 2 cosmos crystals. Pinnacle heavenly god, 2 cosmos crystals. No wonder he has the right to be arrogant. Lin Feng understood. If not for him, this Nyoma would be the most watched warrior in Yun Xine Universe Nation this year. What test score, what intelligence, it's all bullshit. Nyoma scolded in disdain. Only strength counts. Looking at Lin Feng with provocation and disdain, Nyoma laughed arrogantly. Him? Even if you cultivate for another 100 eras, you won't be able to catch up to me. I will be going to the emptiness realm of the 5th time for the 2nd test. Where is this brat going? 3rd, the emptiness realm. Ha ha. Following Nyoma's wild laughter, the 5,000 experts on the side of the Time Virtual Company also burst into laughter. On the other hand, the 5,000 experts from the 7th Mercenary Alliance looked pale and had no way to refute. His words were crude, but his reasoning was not. A mid-heavenly deity. So what if his potential was even higher? No matter what, he couldn't compare to a peak heavenly god expert, not to mention Nyoma, who was an unparalleled expert even amongst peak heavenly gods. Lin Feng smiled calmly. He had never been interested in a war of words. In any case, the 2nd test would be held very soon. Using the results to prove himself was the most direct way. Stupid. An icy cold voice suddenly sounded out from within the crowd. Even though the voice wasn't heavy, yet it was like a thunderclap that clearly descended into the ears of every single expert, and it was like a slap on Mammoth Ox's face. Everyone focused their gaze. The one who spoke was the scarred youth, Wu Mo. His arms were crossed in front of his chest, and his icy blue hair was eye-catching. His peak heavenly god aura was mixed with dense, killing intent, making it hard to get close to him. What did you say? Nyoma was furious, and his veins were exposed. His bull nose was spewing out turbid air, and his bull eyes were as big as lanterns. They were bloodshot and looked ferocious. A stupid bull. Wuemo didn't even look at Nyoma. treating him as if he was nothing. Even if he became the target of public criticism, he was still indifferent. Even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, his expression wouldn't change. It was as if he had already gotten used to it. Lin Feng also looked over curiously. Very strong willpower. Such an expert would be calm and composed during battle, and he wouldn't make any mistakes. Especially his aura, it was like a sharp blade that had been sharpened for a long time. He was clearly not someone to be trifled with. His intellect test was 2 to 3 cosmos crystals. It seemed like he wasn't as strong as Niu Ma, but that wasn't the case. If we really fight, Niu Ma will definitely lose. Lin Feng was very clear that this was an opponent that even he was afraid of. Niu Ma hid his strength well, and his combat power was definitely not ordinary. On the other hand, Niu Ma seemed to be showing off his strength, but he was actually a coward. Although Wu Mo was a peak heavenly god, with his strength, he could easily kill him. If they were in the time void boundary, it would be even easier. After a short rest, there were still many related procedures to complete before entering the Xing Feng astral boundary. It wasn't just 1 or 2 people going, but a total of 10,000 experts. Naturally, they would be busy. Wu Mo and Niu Ma didn't like each other, but they couldn't fight. This was the time void boundaries territory, and fighting here would be courting death. The two of them were not on good terms, just like the 5,000 expert from the 7th Mercenary Alliance and the 5,000 experts from the time void boundary. Although the two sides had nothing to do with each other, they were inexplicably at odds with each other. It was purely a dispute of personal feelings. "Hey, Lin Feng," a familiar voice came from behind. It was Yu Sun, who looked embarrassed. His eyes were looking at Lin Feng, but his pupils were slanted to the right, and he seemed to be unwilling. "Oh." Lin Feng was slightly surprised and replied. Although he didn't get along with Yu Sun, he still had to reply out of courtesy. "This?" Yu Sun's face was green and white, as though he was having difficulty speaking. His mouth squirmed, as though it was glued, and he couldn't open his mouth. After a while, he said in a low voice, "Let's work together?" "Oh." Lin Feng was surprised again. What he said just now made Yu Sun put down his pride. He looked back at Lin Feng. It takes 2 to clap. During the survival challenge, it's safest if 2 people work together. Otherwise, when we enter the time void boundary, we won't be able to compete with the experts from the Xing Feng astral boundary. Not to mention those seniors who were already there before. Not only are they strong, but they're also very experienced. Lin Feng suddenly understood. He had heard about this before. The 10,000 experts from a Yun Xian universe nation were divided into the 1st to 5th time void boundary. On average, there were around 2,500 experts in each time void boundary. This was only the tip of the iceberg, as there were other experts from other universe nations. However, the experts from these universe nations were only average in terms of threat. Within the time void boundary, there were 2 factions. The first was the Xing Feng astral boundary experts. They were all elites, with stronger blood meridians, more treasures, and more methods. However, even though the experts from this faction were stronger than the experts from the universe nations, there was a limit to it. After all, everyone had gone through the top AI test and was assigned to enter. There wasn't much of a difference in strength. The truly strong ones were those who were already in the time void boundary. Every year, they would enter, and only the fittest would survive. These were the elites. Not only were they elites, but they had also trained in the time void boundary, killing other elites of the same level and surviving. Many of them had already reached the lowest standard, the beginner standard, or even higher. This was the true threat. Chapter 23:10. What do you think, Lin Feng? Why don't we work together? Yu Sun stared at Lin Feng with his wolf-like eyes, with a hint of expectation. From Yu Sun's point of view, a peak heavenly god expert like him taking the initiative to negotiate with Lin Feng was already giving him enough face. "I'm sorry." Lin Feng smiled apologetically. Although he didn't have a good impression of Yu Sun before, he found one of his strengths now. He was flexible. Even if they didn't see eye to eye before, Yu Sun could throw everything aside for the sake of benefits and goals. Yu Sun's expression changed and anger could be seen faintly. He was the son of the Godmaster, and he lowered himself to seek cooperation with Lin Feng. But he didn't expect to be rejected. Brother Lin, Ingman couldn't bear it and looked at Lin Feng with a hint of pleading in her big watery eyes. Lin Feng said, "Cooperation is a small matter. The key is the second test of the Time Virtual Reality Company. This time, the top AI will accurately arrange for each elite to enter 7-time virtual realms. With all due respect, you son, you will most likely drop 1 level and enter the 3rd-time virtual realm." Yu Sun's face turned green, but he didn't refute. He had long known that because his payment was 10 cosmos crystals, based on past examples, he would definitely be demoted by grade. "If I enter the 3rd-time virtual realm, won't you also enter the 3rd-time virtual realm?" Yu Sun stared at Lin Feng with eagle-like eyes. If he dropped 1 level and Lin Feng rose 1 level, they would both enter the 3rd-time virtual realm. That was why he came to seek cooperation with Lin Feng. "No, the possibility of me entering the 3rd-time virtual realm is very small." Lin Feng was very certain. The 3rd-time virtual realm was the range of upper heavenly god elites. In the Xing Feng astral realm, this range was slightly larger than the Yun Xian cosmic nation. After all, the average strength level was higher. However, his current combat power had already surpassed the peak of heavenly god. "I will most likely enter the 4th-time virtual realm." Lin Feng looked at Yu Sunday. The latter was a little confused, and so was Ingman. Lin Feng smiled and didn't explain further. Actually, he didn't say the second half of his sentence, which was that he still had a small chance of entering 5th, the virtual realm. Get ready and set out. After a short break, under the leadership of Old Hao and Manager He, 10,000 powerhouses from Yun Xian Cosmic Nation entered the space portal and began their teleportation. As one of the 5 giants of the Xing Feng astral boundary, the Time Virtual Company had its own fixed space transportation channel, and there was no additional charge. However, it still required a considerable amount of energy to open the spatial portal. The standard was 10 cosmos crystals per attempt. Hence, the Virtual Universe Company is subsidizing our participation in the survival challenge. Lin Feng said softly, "This small amount of money is nothing to them. We have given the money ourselves." Yu Sun snorted. He had given the full price of 10 cosmos crystals. Even though he couldn't cooperate with Lin Feng, that was because everyone had entered different time void realms. Yu Sun felt relieved. "That's true." Lin Feng nodded. Even if they paid the full price, it would only be 100,000 cosmos crystals. To him, it was a huge amount. However, to the Virtual Universe Company, it was nothing. The true average payment was only 50,000 cosmos crystals. This 50,000 cosmos crystals, the 7th mercenary group would bear half of it. "Wool comes from the sheep. They spent a bit of money to buy us over. Naturally, they will earn back what they need." Yu Sun saw through everything. Lin Feng laughed. As the son of the God Master, even though Yu Sun was arrogant, he had been influenced since he was young. Hence, his vision wasn't bad. "The wager before entering the time void realm?" Lin Feng said. "Right." Yu Sun nodded. "Father told me before that this alone is enough to cover the expenses of the Virtual Universe Company. Also, there's still a large amount of surplus. This is because all the participants in the survival challenge face 2 choices: die or complete the survival challenge. If that's the case, then what's the point of keeping the treasures on you? If you die, the treasures along with the treasures will all be taken away. Hence, every participant before entering the time void realm will bet everything they have on them, fighting with their backs to the wall. If they can successfully come out alive, not only will they complete the challenge and get the prize, they'll also be able to increase their wager by a few times, or even tens of times." Lin Feng nodded. Senior Wu Sanjian wanted him to return the 1,000 cosmos crystals he earned here to him. "He seems to have quite a bit of confidence in me." Lin Feng laughed. He already had an idea in his heart. However, even if the flow of time within the time void realm is different, completing the survival challenge still requires quite a bit of time. It's also very dangerous, and the death rate is extremely high. If he really wants 1,000 cosmos crystals, he should wait outside for 100,000 years before giving the heavenly treasure to him. He obviously had a way to get 1,000 cosmos crystals, yet he chose to take the risk. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't make sense. Hence, Senior Wu hopes that I can train myself and raise my strength. Like Senior Qi, he has put in a lot of effort. Lin Feng was secretly grateful. Steelbone Universe Ship Company. If I can complete the survival challenge, I'll have the strength to join them. Lin Feng looked into the distance with a trace of anticipation. At the entrance of the passage ahead, one after another, the strong warriors entered. The opening of the space passage was like building a bridge to the heavens in the vast universe, crossing over time and space, stepping from one side of the bridge to the other. There was no order. After the 5,000-strong warriors from the Time Virtual Company entered, it was the turn of the 5,000-strong warriors from the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Lin Feng naturally stood at the very front. Everyone tactfully retreated to the back. This was the same as the Time Virtual Company previously. The one who stood at the very front was the peak Heavenly God Nyoma. Behind Lin Feng was Wu Mo and 2 other Heavenly God warriors who got 3 cosmos crystals. As for Yu Sun, who got 10 cosmos crystals, he stood at the very back of the group with an ashen face. Hua, stepping into the passage, it was bright and transparent, with a 3-dimensional twist. Dense space elements filled the entire passage, slanting downwards. Lin Feng stepped in, as though he had walked into a time tunnel. His sense of direction was instantly lost. It was as though he was walking on the spot, but also as though he had walked into a spiral passage. Wrapped in space laws, it was filled with a strange energy. Lin Feng felt as though he had experienced a long century. Step by step, he walked out of the spiral passage in the 3-dimensional space. Ahead, he could faintly see a bright light. His mind and consciousness gradually returned. Lin Feng stepped out and saw the light again. What greeted him was an incomparably dense universe energy. It was as though he had entered a new world. Compared to the universe energy in Yun Exine Universe Nation, it was much denser, much more solid and dense. His current position was as though he had climbed to a higher level. Standing high up, it felt different. This is the Xingfeng Star Realm. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he let out a sigh of relief. He had finally arrived. Chapter 2311. Head surge densely packed. It was an enormous square. Yun Exine Universe Country was already big enough, but the square here was even more boundless. The auras of over 100 million great beings filled the air, and they were at least at the heavenly god level. One could even sense the auras of god masters. They're all here. Lin Feng knew that Yun Exine Universe Country was not the only one participating in the Virtual Time Survival Challenge. How many universe countries were there in Xingfeng Astral? More than 10,000. And not every universe country only had 10,000 places. Among the tens of thousands of universe countries, Yun Exine Universe Country was only average. One could count the number of god masters in a universe country with 2 hands. Many universe countries had thousands, tens of thousands, or even more god masters. Naturally, there were more places for these universe countries than Yun Exine Universe Country. Xingfeng Astral had more places. If the entire Xingfeng Astral was an empire, then it was a centralized power. Each universe country was divided into a small territory, and the tens of thousands of dukes had different levels of power. This is the Time Virtual Realm. Lin Feng looked into the distance. He could clearly see 7 huge layers of space stacked on top of each other. Each layer was an independent space surrounded by clouds, but they were clearly visible. They towered into the sky, and there was no end in sight. The 7 black holes exuded a terrifying aura like the scorching sun, but there was no swallowing power. Around the black holes, there were strange engravings. The engravings extended, and their power suppressed and guided the black holes. The Time Virtual Realm. Each virtual realm was actually a black area. It's huge. Lin Feng knew that the 7 virtual realms were very far away. He could see them so clearly because they were huge, and he could even feel their auras. Just like him, All the great beings from Yin, Exine Universe Country were looking around, and their mouths were wide open. They were both virtual universe companies, but Xing Feng Astral was completely different from Yun Exine Universe Country. One was like a well-equipped base fortress, while the other was just an office. The space transportation tunnel sent the great beings one by one. Yu Sun was the last to arrive. Master Hao and Chief, he counted the number of people and arranged for them to enter the second round of the test, which was also the last round. It was carried out by the Time Virtual Realm Company's top-level AI, and they allocated the virtual realms based on their own power. The rules of the Time Virtual Survival Challenge will be informed by the top-level artificial intelligence after entering. Don't worry. What you need to do is to adapt to the environment as quickly as possible and survive. Don't think too much about killing. The first step is to survive as much as possible. Remember my words, try your best to survive. Do everything you can to survive. This is the challenge of survival. Manager, he said earnestly with a solemn expression. Everyone's expression was solemn as they swallowed their saliva. Their hearts were filled with apprehension and nervousness. Only after arriving at the Xing Feng astral sector did they realize how insignificant they were. Even if they were the elites of the elites in Yun Xian Cosmic Nation, they were nothing compared to the hundreds of millions of great beings here. The universe was too big. There are countless experts who are more outstanding than you. Survival, Lin Feng murmured softly. It was clearly not an easy task to make director. He looked so serious, even if the minimum requirement was 1 year. Others might not know, but he knew that even someone as strong as Wu Sanjian had only completed the basic standard of 10 years. Even though their strength levels were different, it was clear that the competition within the Time Virtual Realm was fierce. Even though the lowest survival rate is 10%, that's only for powerful universe countries and Xing Feng's astral world. Lin Feng was very clear. For Yun Exine Universe Country, it's already a great fortune for them to survive even 1%. If you want to reach the basic standard, there might not even be 1 in 10,000. He was confident, but not conceited. Even though Lin Feng was confident in himself, he knew that this challenge would not be easy. Fight steadily and surely. Survive first, then look for variables. Lin Feng had a clear plan in his mind. Just as director, he said, there was no need to be stubborn. First, avoid and adapt to the environment. He had extremely strong soul-sensing abilities, so survival was not a problem. The Time Virtual Company was very efficient. After only a few hours, it was Yun Xian Cosmic Nation's turn. Under the lead of Master Hao and Manager He, the group from Yun Xian Cosmic Nation moved forward. There were tens of thousands of elite powerhouses. They had been smug and confident in the beginning, but now they were moving with caution and trepidation. Reality was crueler than anything else. Okay, I'll send you here. Go in when you're ready. Director, he looked calm. He would bring 10,000 warriors here every year, so he was very familiar with this place. But out of the 10,000 warriors who went in, only a few came out. The Time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge was like a big furnace, melting away all the impurities, leaving behind a pure and perfect product. The experts exchanged glances with one another as anxiety and nervousness welled up within them. Step. With a head of short blue hair, Wu Mo's expression was cold, as if nothing could affect his emotions. He stepped in directly. On the other side, Ox Mammoth's horns were shaking, and its nostrils were breathing heavily. It also entered like a tank, unwilling to be left behind. Survive. Lin Feng said to Ing Man, Okay. Ing Man nodded. They looked at each other and smiled, then stepped in. Although she was small, she had great ambition. Lin Feng looked at Ing Man's small and thin figure and let out a sigh of relief. He didn't interfere. Everyone had their own path to walk. No matter if it was right or wrong, no matter what the result was, as long as they walked it, there was no need to regret. Even if it wasn't the right path. The blue light covered the area, and Lin Feng entered as well. What entered his eyes was like a cave of science and technology. It was colorful and magnificent, and the moment he entered, he couldn't see any other martial artists. It was as if he had suddenly disappeared. In the entire space, he was the only one left. So magical. Lin Feng knew that he was in the area controlled by the top-level artificial intelligence. According to what director he said, after entering, the top-level artificial intelligence would automatically check and assign tasks. He only needed to wait calmly, and there would be a way out. Beep, beep, beep. He seemed to hear the sound of a device, but it also seemed like an illusion. His body suddenly sank, and then it suddenly tightened. The pressure from the outside gushed out from the inside, and an omnipresent force guided his body. Bang! His head shook slightly. The process of the test was simple and direct. The blue light gathered into a line, and a semicircular ring-shaped passage appeared in front of him. Lin Feng stepped out of the passage slowly, and light filled his eyes. He seemed to have stepped into the clouds, and the scene around him changed instantly. Oh! Lin Feng was slightly surprised when he stepped out of the passage. Chapter 23:12. What he saw were two familiar figures and faces. However, compared to his own surprise, they were obviously much more shocked, especially the Minotaur who was breathing heavily from his nostrils. His pair of horns stood tall, and his two bell-sized eyes were wide open. He couldn't help but let out a sound. Wu Mo Nyoma. We meet again. Lin Feng smiled and greeted them. He didn't need to look at anything else to know that he had entered the fifth-time Void Realm. If he only saw Wu Mo or Nyoma, he might have entered the fourth-time Void Realm. However, since both of them were here, he was definitely in the fifth-time Void Realm. As expected, he spread his aura and instantly sensed the aura of many Divine Masters. The difference between Divine Masters and Divine Masters was one level, and it was very big. Therefore, even the most ordinary lower Divine Masters were usually much stronger than peak Divine Masters. There were so many lower Divine Masters here, so it was naturally impossible for him to enter the fourth-time Void Realm. Normally, it was enough to distinguish. Impossible. Nyoma's voice was like thunder. He kept shaking his head as if he had seen the most ridiculous thing in the world. A mere middle Divine Master actually entered the fifth-time Void Realm. It was unimaginable. On the other hand, Wu Mo quickly regained his composure after being slightly surprised. Although he previously estimated that Lin Feng would enter the fourth-time Void Realm, it was normal for him to enter the fifth-time Void Realm. Just like in Yinshin Universe Nation, there wasn't a single Divine Master who got 0 Cosmos Crystals during the first test. If it was possible to get 0 Cosmos Crystals, why couldn't he enter the fifth-time Void Realm? Looks like it's just the three of us. Lin Feng glanced around. To be honest, entering the fifth-time Void Realm was a bit out of his expectations. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry to enter. It didn't mean that the higher the level of the Time Void Realm, the better. The higher the level, the greater the challenge, and the more terrifying the strength of the participants. Especially in the fourth-time Void Realm and the fifth-time Void Realm, the biggest difference was because one was at the Divine Master level and the other was at the Divine Master level. Back then, Senior Wu Sanjian had also entered the fifth-time Void Realm. His current strength was still far from his. Yes, Wu Mo was a man of few words. Like Lin Feng, he wasn't in a hurry to enter. Timid as mice. Two cowards entering the fifth-time Void Realm. They're simply courting death. Unfortunately, you have no way out now, haha. Nyoma laughed loudly and patted his chest. I'll take my leave first. You guys can take your time here. After saying that, Nyoma charged forward and stepped into the mysterious inscription formation. Stupidity is also a good thing. Wumo's voice was ice-cold. The ignorant are fearless. Lin Feng smiled. Even though Nyoma's test result was 2 Cosmos Crystals, he was still only a peak stage heavenly god. If he was placed in the fourth-time Emptiness Realm, his strength would naturally be considered above average. But if he was placed in the fifth-time Emptiness Realm, his strength would definitely be at the bottom. To be precise, it was at the very bottom. What do you think? Lin Feng looked at Wu Mo. It's a good thing, Wu Mo said. Oh, Lin Feng was curious. Wu Mo said the prize money is high, and the odds are high. Calm as an ancient well, Wu Mo closed his eyes. After a long and deep breath, he opened his eyes and a ray of light shot out. Until we meet again. His voice echoed in his ears, but Wu Mo's figure had already disappeared without a trace. Straightforward. Lin Feng smiled. He knew what Wu Mo meant. If he entered the fifth-time emptiness realm with the strength of a peak stage heavenly god, the prize money would naturally be higher, and the odds would also be higher. This was because the top-level AI evaluated the warrior's strength against the difficulty of the emptiness realm. Even though it's somewhat unexpected, it's not necessarily a bad thing for me. At the very least, this could be considered a challenge. Lin Feng recovered his mental state. Actually, the fourth-time emptiness realm was far from a challenge for him. After all, most of the warriors who entered were peak stage heavenly gods. However, the fifth-time emptiness realm was different. Even the weakest warriors, there were outstanding peak stage heavenly gods, like Wu Mo and Yoma. Normally, the ones he would encounter would be lower-level divine lords, or even middle-level divine lords. Very interesting. Lin Feng felt his blood boiling. It was as if he had returned to the Milky Way super black hole and fought with Divine Lord Orchid Pavilion on the West Eel. When he thought about the countless powerful warriors like Divine Lord Orchid Pavilion waiting for him in the fifth-time emptiness realm, he felt excited. He had always liked challenges. My goal is not only to survive, but also to surpass Senior Wu. Lin Feng stepped into the secret inscription array. Rings and rings of peculiar energy enveloped him. This place was still under the control of the top-grade AI. In fact, the seven-time emptiness realms were all linked to the top-grade AI. Ding! A sound seemed to resound in his mind. The instant before he entered the black hole, he arrived at an independent space of 100 meters square. It was squarish, and the secret inscriptions were like art carvings. A virtual grid appeared in front of him. Coefficient 10. Bonus, minimum standard, 10 cosmos crystals. Elementary standard, 100 cosmos crystals. Intermediate standard, 1,000 cosmos crystals. Advanced standard, 10,000 cosmos crystals. Top grade standard, 100,000 cosmos crystals. Perfect standard, 1 million cosmos crystals. Ultra perfect standard, 10 million cosmos crystals. The 7 standards appeared clearly. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He instantly memorized it. In other words, if he wanted to obtain 1,000 cosmos crystals, he needed to reach the intermediate standard. However, this was only the bonus. The real big prize was usually the bet, because his coefficient was 10. The highest coefficient. The normal minimum bonus was 1 cosmos crystal, and the elementary standard was 10 cosmos crystals. He had increased it by 10 times, and the odds were the same. The basic odds had already started with a coefficient of 10. Originally, the lowest standard odds were 1, but his was 110. It's a pity that I don't have much wealth on me. Lin Feng laughed bitterly. He didn't care too much about it. After all, wealth was just a worldly possession. He took out treasures one by one, and following the voice of the top-grade AI, he threw them out. The numbers on the virtual screen in front of him increased continuously. 1. 7 cosmos crystals. 3. 3 cosmos crystals. 5. 9 cosmos crystals. The numbers kept increasing. Although there weren't any particularly valuable treasures, there was a huge amount of them. Lin Feng had a huge pile of pinnacle true treasures, and there were countless types of true treasure materials. Now, he had cleared all of them from his inventory. The other great beings are probably the same as me. Lin Feng laughed. Anyway, he wouldn't get anything if he died in the survival challenge, so he might as well bet all his wealth. Although the initial odds were a little shabby, the normal odds were 1, and the mortality rate was 90%. The elementary standard was 1, 3, and the mortality rate was as high as 99%. However, he didn't have much choice. He could only bet. It's finally empty. Lin Feng busied himself for a while and finally emptied his pockets. The numbers on the virtual screen in front of him suddenly appeared. Chapter 23:13. 20. 1 Universe Crystal. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. He didn't know that he had quite a lot of wealth, mainly because he had quite a lot of scattered true treasures and the fruits of heaven and earth that he had collected previously. Now that he had a perfect chaotic body, he didn't need to consume any more fruits of heaven and earth to improve. 20 universe crystals wasn't a lot, but it wasn't little either. Although he could get more universe crystals if he pawned pinnacle true treasures like Shura King armor and 3 Soul Sky Bell, it was too much of a gamble, like drinking poison to quench thirst. Strength was the most important factor. With enough strength, adaptability, and the ability to survive, the odds and rewards would get higher every time he passed the standard threshold. Coefficient 10. Bet 20. 1 universe crystals. Lowest standard 201 universe crystals. Beginner standard 603 universe crystals. Intermediate standard 2010 universe crystals. Advanced standard 20,100 universe crystals. Top-notch standard 201,000 universe crystals. Perfect standard 201,000 universe crystals. Ultra perfect standard 201,000 universe crystals. Lin Feng nodded. Although he didn't have much money, the coefficient of 10 times was high and the odds were good. Basically, starting from the intermediate standard, he would get double the reward. Biting off more than one could chew was enough. To him, it was fine as long as he had enough money. More was just a number. So if I join the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge to earn 1,000 universe crystals, I have to at least reach the beginner standard, which is the standard reached by Senior Wu. Lin Feng thought to himself. Although the beginner standard had a prize of 703 universe crystals, which was less than 1,000, there would be a lot of killing in the survival challenge. Killing would be accompanied by death and treasures. The 5th Time Void Realm was at most a God Master. Normally, God Masters already had Heaven Path True Treasures. The most ordinary beginner Heaven Path True Treasures had a starting price of 100 universe crystals. If he was lucky, he could reach the lowest standard and get 1,000 universe crystals. However, such a goal was too shallow and couldn't be considered a survival challenge. Like Senior Wu, I'll set my goal at the beginner standard. Lin Feng finished his bet and browsed through the rules of the survival challenge. Every stage had its own mission, and there was more than one way to reach the standard. 5th Time Void Realm, Time Flow 100. Minimum standard mission, live for 100 years. Every participant killed will reduce the mission requirement by 10 years. Every time you kill a low-level Emptiness Realm beast, you will reduce the mission requirement by 1 year. Every time you kill a mid-level Emptiness Realm beast, you will reduce the mission requirement by 10 years. Every time you kill a high-level Emptiness Realm beast, you will complete the mission. The location of the minimum standard mission is Planet Gumo. There's a protective membrane outside, so there's no need to worry about other advanced powerhouses. Lin Feng read it 3 times and memorized it completely. The minimum task was not difficult. The time flow rate was 100, which meant that if one completed the minimum task in the Time Void Realm and lived for 100 years, only 1 year would pass in the outside world. It was no different from what Senior Chi had said. No wonder there's a 10% chance of passing. Lin Feng more or less understood. Many powerful contestants could directly kill 10 other contestants and advance to the next round. As for Emptiness Realm beasts, it seemed that they were not easy to kill. Otherwise, the probability of passing would be much higher than 10%. There's a protective membrane on the outside, which means that those who have advanced before can't enter Gumo planet. So my opponents are only Emptiness Realm beasts and other contestants. Among them, I need to pay attention to Emptiness Realm beasts. Lin Feng sorted out his thoughts. His experience and judgment told him that Emptiness Realm beasts were not to be trifled with, especially the so-called high-level Emptiness Realm beasts in the mission requirement. They might be the most terrifying, because as long as he killed one, he would complete the mission. How could it be that simple? The more simple the mission seemed, the more difficult it was. Maybe there are other troubles and dangers that I can't predict. No matter what, I'll enter first and plan later. Lin Feng took a deep breath and prepared himself. He had his own strengths and weaknesses. 5th, he was in the Emptiness Realm. His strength was at the bottom among the group of powerhouses, but his soul-sensing ability was strong. It was very convenient for him to survive. I'll get used to it first, then I'll seek it later. After he was fully prepared, Lin Feng left the independent space. The space shifted, and in front of him was strange and variegated. It was as if he had entered a wonderful space tunnel. The scene changed abruptly, and in an instant, a green bamboo forest appeared. Lin Feng's feet landed on the ground. Gumo planet. The moment Lin Feng's consciousness returned, his aura had already spread out. Without any pause, his body moved forward, and he reacted in an instant. Qi, a sharp blade, mixed with light speed, energy, tore through the space. It was a monster with dark green eyes and rough skin. Its face was pitted and hideous. There was a membrane in its throat that was pale white in color. Its gray nails were dyed with poison, and there were webs between its claws. It was like a giant toad. Its body was huge, but its attack speed was extremely fast. A pinnacle heavenly god powerhouse. Lin Feng had seen Emptiness Realm beasts in the illustrated handbook. Naturally, he recognized the monster that ambushed him from behind. It was obviously a pinnacle heavenly god powerhouse from another universe country, and not an Emptiness Realm beast. Hei Tung attacked. Lin Feng retreated and at the same time counterattacked. He didn't expect the battle to come so suddenly. He had just entered Gumo planet and it had already started. Even though he was ambushed, Lin Feng was very calm. While he focused on defending, he spread out his aura once again. One opponent wasn't scary. What was scary was the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. The more dangerous it was, the calmer he had to be. A black helmet appeared. There were clear patterns on it, like a strange letter that was shining with golden light. The black crystals on the king's armor lit up. Shura's killing intent exploded. Lin Feng's eyes were bloodshot. Hei Tung clashed with the dark green monster. The perfect Hundun body revealed its tyrannical power. Although Lin Feng was a middle-level heavenly god, his body was stronger, and his fighting spirit was fiercer. The divine light and darkness patterns intertwined. The second heaven of light and darkness appeared. Lin Feng instantly exploded with all his strength. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, he had gained the upper hand. Damn it, the dark green monster's face turned even uglier. He wanted to take advantage of the opponent's unsteady footing to attack. He didn't expect to hit a nail on the head. The opponent's reaction was extremely fast. In fact, his strength wasn't inferior to Lin Feng's. However, the psychological pressure brought by the failed ambush had a great impact. Both of them were experts who specialized in close combat. It was as if two planets had collided, and heavenly lightning had stirred up the Earth's flames. Both of them were experts in offense and not defense. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous would win. Lin Feng's aura was stronger, and his attacking methods and experience were richer. The long-range attacks of the Bermuda Triangle and the explosive power of Hei Tung's body finally killed the dark green monster in one go. Hei Tung cut off the dark green monster's head. Lin Feng completed the first kill in the survival challenge.